everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your art Sherpa, and I'm so excited to be coming today to YouTube Live to show you how to paint a really awesome painting. On the mic today is my husband, John.
Hi, guys.
He has our reference photo we're going to be working from today. But listen, the first thing is if you check the description below, there is a link to the website where there's a free traceable, where there's a lot of extra information on mixing warm skin tones. Just in case, like in the middle of it, you just need a quick visual refresher and just some more notes and questions on stuff like titanium white and buff and alternate colors and just that stuff you need to know that sometimes we might not necessarily cover in the video. Definitely go there, check it out, use that resource, you know, pin it on your Pinterest, and that way you have it whenever you need it. Because I'm like really bringing up those video pages. I'm like getting into it. So today we're painting this, and we're going to be doing this kind of in the style of Vladimir Volkov, who is a romantic Russian painter, and you guys are constantly sharing stuff inspired by that. And I was like, man, I want to show y'all how to do that. We're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to be covering the techniques and methods to do a painting where the values are all very light, and you do a soft, cool shadow instead of a deep shadow, and you get, you know, that sort of sun-kissed effect. And this was voted on by you guys, as were several other pictures, which if you keep loving these, we'll do them all. And it'll be fun. It'll be really good. I'm super excited. I got my materials here.
So,
how you doing, Mr. Cooney?
good. Yeah, I'm making minor adjustments to make sure that we're all super able to be heard and such here. There's and it's all good. You know, we're just new audio settings, so you know, little balances here and there. We're all good. So how's it?
Don't click away for the sound.
Oh no.
Hang in, guys.
We're all good.
So, yeah, I got my little coffee. I really appreciate all the wishes that you guys sent me, and I'm feeling just 1,000% better.
We have over 400 people here already. They're excited to be here and painting this.
This is going to be awesome.
Hey,
I'm
guys.
excited to show them that they can paint this, John.
Yes.
I'm excited to show you guys that you can paint this. Because I know you're sitting there going, yeah, I mean, I want to, but maybe. But you can. I'm like really break this down today. And we're going to drill into it, and it's going to be really great. And I've been wanting to do something like this for a while, just personally to paint. So I'm kind of personally thrilled to be here.
Yeah, I think, and everybody I think is really excited here. We got a lot of people here, so they're waiting for it.
All right, let's get into it. Without further ado. So I've got an 11 by 14 canvas. I have this size just because this is really convenient for us to do on YouTube, and it keeps the time from getting too. I mean, this is, all right, laughable now. The time too long. And so that's there. We've got some wishes on that. We have a happy birthday to Kimberly and also Donna. Happy birthday, guys. And we have healing wishes for service dog Clara. We're just really hoping that Clara is back home, taking care of her family really soon. And just like lots of love to service dogs everywhere in the universe. Just love service dogs. After coming through my flu, I personally put a wish out into the universe for healing for all people who are struggling with the flu right now. And then there was an anonymous wish for healing for torn families that have had stuff that have torn them apart. So we're just wishing that, especially coming into the holidays, especially right now, that everyone globally, that we're coming back together, both in our small families of our, you know, blood units, but also as, you know, a community as humans. That would be really cool. And then I have a wish for a friend who's having trouble breathing and would very much like a fixed computer. Should really, really like that. So let's get into the materials we're using for today's awesomeness.
All right, what do we got over there?
So I have my acrylic paint here. I have heavy body paint, and I'm going to be doing kind of an acrylic ground, which means basically that I'm going to be doing a colored background that I build the painting on. It's like the structure that everything goes under. And I'm going to start that with just phthalo blue and a little titanium white. And I have all the other colors listed in the description below, and then also more information about those exchanges on the website. So these are here. I'm going to definitely be using some palette knives when I get into my skin tone mixture to mix. So it's nice if you can get a, you know, palette knife of some kind.
Oh, we may need to scoot the...
I see it.
Oh, yeah, there it goes.
Scoot over. Something moved. Probably me. I've been painting furiously lately. So I'm just putting out my phthalo blue and my titanium white. Now here's some interesting money-saving tips. If you're, starting to invest in pro paints and they're like liquid gold to you right now, as I know it may be for many of you, your colored grounds, believe it or not, can be craft paints. This is something you might not know you can do, and that's a great way to save money because what you're trying to get is an acrylic structure to build up on. And so today I think I will paint my background in. I will use a number 30 bright, but really what you're talking about here, I really love this. It's synthetic filaments. It's not going to hold too much water. But what you're looking for is your whitest bright brush or flat so you can cover large amounts of canvas. Lots of brushes come in that shape and size, so, don't get stressed on it.
Now, as we're working on this, on our scale of 1 to 3 hoots, is there a difficulty there? Where is this one falling?
I definitely think this is going to be 3 hoot, but even if you're a 1 or 2 hoot painter, I'm going to ask that you hang in, and here's why. The stuff I'm going to say on skin tone on this lesson, gonna blow your mind.
Oh, yeah?
So it's just worth hanging in for that, just for the whole skin tone lecture. I'm going to be like really getting into it.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to want to have a very light color that goes into a darker color. And it's sometimes easier to darken than lighten. So I'm actually going to take just a smidge of my phthalo on my brush, not very much, and get it onto my white. Right? And start working this up. And you can see just where it was on the corner, how it's like really laying down. And to get her out of the way or she's going to get painted. But again, this is a ground. So whenever we're talking about a ground, anything that anyone ever refers to as a ground in art is just a surface that you're painting on or a preparation for paint. That's all. That's just their way of saying it. That's why there can be so many grounds. I'm adding a little more blue as I'm going up. And I'm making... Hey, chickie, stay with me. I am making sure that I'm blending these two areas wet into wet to each other. Even though this is a ground, it's a good time for me to sort of set up the ambiance. I'm going to have a second pass at this. So, if I kind of goofed it, I'll be able to get it back. But I want to have a nice little start that sets me up for success. Now, if you have really inexpensive canvases that give you grief, a ground is a great step for you because it can fix an unfortunate prep surface. If you have one of those canvases that's like, I will not take any paint. Well, nothing like painting it to fix that, right?
Right.
So that's a good way that you can, save money and save time. I'm going to wipe this off and just get my white for the rest of the canvas. And there's enough pigment on the brush for me to finish this out. And if I need to, a little water to thin. But listen, guys, remember, there's lots of ways to, get the products that you want and still save money. I am the queen of that. And you can totally do it as I get distracted by painting in my background. You see me vigorously. I'm just working it across, aren't I? I'm brutalizing the canvas today, John.
Yeah. That's all right.
It's a brutal day for this poor canvas. So I've got this
nice
ground
ombre.
in. I kind of got an ombre talked about here a little bit. It's a little darker here than I would like. But again, this is that surface prep that I'm looking for. And I'm going to rinse this brush out. And probably put it to the side. If you're at home, it's always good to take these bigger, good brushes and just go ahead and fully wash them out at this stage. That's like a really good idea if you can. If you can't, just make sure to get the paint out of them and put them aside and be sure to wash them at the end of the session. I just based on some convo I've seen in groups and stuff, definitely don't leave your brushes unwashed.
Oh, yeah?
Even if you don't have soap. So say you're somewhere and you don't have soap and you got to wash your brushes, well, you and some warm water are going to be at it for a while. You know, and you remember you can use things like shampoo. I have in a pinch used clothing detergent. Like if there's just nothing and I got to get soap out of my brushes, I got to get soap out of my brushes. I can do that laundry later. It's going to be there.
No shortage.
Kids keep making it. But brushes, those I got to take care of. And actually sometimes laundry detergent can be kind of interesting on brushes anyways, especially on the natural filament ones because the fabric softeners and stuff. So I have to either dry this or let it dry for the purposes of we love to spend a lot of time together, but maybe not 6 hours. I'm going to dry this with a hairdryer. Okay. Here's some thoughts on hair dryers. Cool temperature. Don't cook your canvas. If you're using a heat gun, stay way back. Because color is impacted by temperature in acrylic paint. Color shift can be exacerbated by high temperatures. Plus, if you heat it up enough, it can off-gas and do weird. You just don't set your acrylic paint on fire. Right. Would be my general. Don't dry it with a blowtorch. All right, here we go. I'm going to dry it. Okay. I'm also hold on to her because you know she's going to go flying. All right. You did? I don't know. Oh, let me come over and check that out for you. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. I don't know what I'm going to just keep acting that I'm drying it. At least hand that. Shh. Shh. What is going on with this thing? Did the fuse blow out? Oh, okay. Well, that's, you know. Okay. It's now quiet. Sorry. Okay, guys. So thank you for coming and hanging out. I think you can hear me. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm not sure if you can hear me or not because, man, there's all sorts of noise coming in from all over the place. But anyway, thank you guys for coming and hanging out. I think we have it back under control. We do. Do we? We do. I don't know. I have me under control. Are you guys under control at home? I hope not. I don't know. I hope you're a muck. A muck is definitely something that's happening back here. And we need to be a muck. That's why we get together in art, right? Mm-hmm. It's the whole purpose. Done with adulting. Yes. For sure today. Just done and over it. Except for coffee. That was the good part of adulting. Coffee. All right. So just want to talk about our image here for a second. Couple of things. So we have a horizon line. And when you're painting your oceans, your water and everything, if you've been with me a while, you've heard this a couple times. This little sucker needs to be level. If you took the best trip photo of your life, but you accidentally turned the camera when you were photographing your fiance or your child or your grandmother, and you had this great photograph, but that line was at an angle, a lot of you guys will paint what you see and then not understand why the painting isn't working. So what you've always got to do when you're working with a photograph is make sure this line is level for you to reference from so that you can make sure this line is level. You never want that to go off kilter. Just something to look for in your trip photos if you're looking to take those vacation photos and turn them into these kinds of paintings. Make sure that you're correcting for these horizon lines. The other thing is in sun paintings, light source matters. So we see the shadow coming off here at this angle. This shadow worries me. I'm really trying to not feel like it's like a sea ray or some crazy thing that's swimming up on her, but that's cool. I'm not going to paint it in. I like to leave the sea monster shadow out. But this shadow is super important because she's here and that tells me the light source. And that lets me know I have a light source here, here, along the front here where her arms are wrapped in front of her and on her face. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the important things for me about this particular image is that her arms were wrapped in front of her and her hair. So it was kind of very G-rated, so that was me. Yeah. But so we're going to really be paying attention to the way this light is kissing. And also we're going to be paying attention to this fabric. I'm not personally going to be doing the weird fiddly little detail. because I did not like it, and I had actually wished she was just wearing a white sarong. Just personally. So since I'm the artist and this is my universe, I'm going to alter that and turn it into a white sarong, which I feel is more like freedom on the beach energy. This is my freedom on the beach. This is I am on vacation and in like
Beach.
the sun, and in this world I don't sunburn, so I'm she's
Beach
my
freedom
alter ego
mode.
right now. Huh?
Hey, the beach freedom.
It's my beach freedom
Yeah.
image, which actually probably my mom, as much as she's been vacationing lately, would be more likely to enjoy. On this horizon line, I'm going to take it down below the halfway point. My trick to try to keep my horizon line level is to use these inexpensive T-squares, because I do not have a psychotically steady hand. There are artists who are so trained and so good at the mechanics of rendering that they can just freehand a perfect circle or just rock out a straight line. I admire them so much, but I recognize I'm not them. So I correct for my weaknesses where I have to. I'm going to come down just a little bit below the halfway point and make a nice little horizon line. This is an Arteza woodless watercolor pencil. And so it's all watercolor.
All watercolor.
Also, you can use it as a watercolor pencil and not be ridiculous using it as a line drawing thing that I do, because that's what I do. So I'm going to paint the whole background in before I apply the image of the figure to the canvas, and that's because I want very smooth lines. And acrylic, so you guys ask me a lot, why don't I just draw her in and then paint around her? You might have noticed that acrylic tends to have very hard edges. And when you are working around a figure, it's going to want to pull and create a hard line there. And that's going to give the image a more flat cartoon feel. So even if you're painting expressively and loosely, you want to avoid that. And that's why sometimes I will do this if I know I need to have a very smooth, blended background behind something. That's what I had to share about that today. Okay.
Cool.
So I'm going to start painting my painting. And I'm going to start with, I'm going to be on this putting out my colors as I need them. And then adding to them because they've been just drying out in the studio so badly lately. Because it's hot and dry. I'm going to go ahead and get my phthalo green in. So there's my phthalo blue. Here's my phthalo green. How was that palette? It could push that forward a little bit for you guys. You don't need to see my glasses. I just need to see out of my glasses at some point. All right, so I got my phthalo blue, my phthalo green. My secret weapon is going to be my Indian yellow. If you don't have Indian yellow, you could get away with a cad yellow deep, or if you had to, cad yellow or even yellow ochre.
Why is the yellow your secret weapon?
This is a very transparent, warm yellow, and when I mix it with the aquas, it just makes everything Caribbean. If you buy from the acrylic paint company Matisse, which you guys know I like, mixing phthalo blue and phthalo green together is Southern Ocean blue, and Indian yellow hue is Australian sienna. Cheat codes!
Cheat codes.
Cheat codes! Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
The secret is out. You can always tell what a paint actually is by reading the pigment codes on the tube. They can't lie to you then.
What pigment code? Which one's the pigment codes?
All right, so this is real interesting because I can show it on the unbleached titanium. So here we have titanium white, and its pigment code is PW6, right? So even if somebody called this blistering white, if they are trying to label for stores and ASTM and all that, they'll have to give the pigment that they used in the paint. PW6 is always titanium white.
You want to show that on a close-up camera there real quick?
Yeah, here, I'll do these two.
There you go. You can see
Let
them
me
really
find
easy
this, guys. Okay, here we go. So PW6, titanium white. Here I have some unbleached titanium. Guess what it's a mix of? PW6 and PY42, PR101, and PBK11. Cheat code, a touch of raw sienna into titanium white. Or if you already have Naples yellow, you can actually put a little Naples yellow into titanium white and get a similar warm white.
The good tips.
Good tips. Or you just get buff titanium from Golden, which is the actual real color. And is not a mix or a blend, interestingly enough. But you would know that if you go on my website because I write about it. Unlike that, I share those things.
You should. You know, we have over 550 people hanging out and painting with us today. Thank you, all you awesome Sherpazoids and Sherpettes and light keepers and people.
How completely goofy would it be if I told everybody just to give themselves a hug and remind themselves that they're just awesome?
I think that's a good idea. I think everybody should give yourself a hug. And if you're someone near you, you should hug them.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a stranger, though.
And if you have
don't hug strangers. Friends. Hug your friends, your loved ones near you.
Your furry babies, all of it. Scaly babies, feathery babies.
Yes.
Wiggly tail, piggly babies. Whatever. It's all good. Or if you're Brisbee, hug your Brisbee if you can catch them.
Yes. That's a squirrel of another color.
So I'm going to take... There's just a little more green to the sky, so I'm going to take a little... I like to use, when I have to thoroughly mix paint, I like to use a palette knife. So I'm going to take a little of this green, just see that little smidge, over to my blue. And I'm going to just get a little of that on there. So there's just even more green than they wanted to initially give me. But I say no. I don't know why I say it like that, but I did. All right, now I'm going to come over here and just get a little of the white going so I can have a nice little ombre. There we go. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah, looking really nice.
Yeah. So less streaky. So I have something to start from here, so I'm not struggling. Avoid taking your brush and just mixing 2 giant pops of paint together, because it's going to waste your paint and cost you a lot of money. So then even inexpensive paint starts getting expensive if you do that. It's always good to have paint management. Plus, it's super satisfying to mix paint.
Paint management. That sounds so professional, artist. Paint management. I get to manage my paint.
It's always good to manage your paint, right?
Does that mean to just tell it what to do? Get over there on the palette. I guess that's if you're a stern manager.
To just be fun, I'm going to use a number 12 Black Pearl Bright. This is a Mitelon filament. This is synthetic, doesn't hold too much water, keeps a nice edge, is resilient against, life in acrylic, which is super, super challenging. Now, near the horizon, I'm going to take just a little bit of this blue here and then actually pull out my white. See what I did there? So I had my pre-mixed light blue and I added it to my white. And I'm going to come along this horizon line that I have so nicely drawn for myself. And I'm going to do this very light value. Very important. Very, very. All of humanity hangs on this moment. And yet not.
On this unstable horizon line.
For all we know, every time we paint a painting, we create a universe. We don't know.
Well, you do.
I don't know.
Well, and every time you look at one, you create one too. Because there are infinite simulations that are run inside the minds of all of the people all around the world. And every time they see an image, it influences the simulation running inside their brain.
Okay. Now I'm feeling pressure I was not feeling before. Responsibility. If your paint is drying quickly or not blending or acting up in any way, I really like acrylic glazing liquid. It improves the flow. It's an extender. It slows the drying time and it allows you to glaze. It is one of my favorite paint products, even though much like everything with caps and Golden and me, it all goes wrong. But I think that's operator error.
I'm just gonna promise that if you were to close those caps, they would work 100% better.
I'm not saying that it's me. I acknowledge that it's me. But I can only be me. I can only be me. So I'm going to put a little glaze on my brush, and it's going to improve the flow, extend the paint. That generally just means it's going to flow longer. And it's going to let me blend a little bit better, and I really want that on the sky. I'm going to load up and start getting into this softer blue that I mixed. And you're going to notice that I'm going to get this really fantastic blend here. There is this belief that acrylics can't look like oils or work like oils or be soft like oils. And that's not really true. It's just about working wet into wet and understanding the different blending and softening techniques that you have in acrylic paint. So I'm loading up. You can see I just pull out from my little paint mixture, and then a lot of times I'll flip the brush. I'm just pointing this out because sometimes it might not be obvious how I'm loading and why my paint goes so far. And just in case it wasn't, and you were feeling a titch frustrated with everything. Now, this trick of an acrylic ground is going to help you if you're painting inexpensive paints too, because this blue is going to make your pigment seem more deep.
Now,
interestingly enough. All right, here I'm going to get my brush a little wet, add a little more glaze, and come into my darker blue. I'm going to come from the top and work down. Oh, look at that soft edge. Owned it. Super soft. Woo!
now,
Soft gradation.
why do you use the gloss version of your
Oh, so I like a gloss finish. I feel like it deepens colors. I feel like the gloss has a little more glide than the satin. A little more, imperceptibly. Could be in my head. But I feel it strongly enough that I keep buying the gloss and only ever get the satin by accident.
But that, like many things here, there may or may not be a lot of scientific evidence behind the choices being made.
No, if my evidence is anecdotal, I will tell you.
Yeah.
I will not put on a front. I'll be like, man, it's just a thing I think. Could be right.
Yeah, it could be.
Might be crazy. So coming forward, right, it's pretty blue, but it's going to come more into the greens, right? Almost into this like ochre brown kind of stuff. So I'm going to also put out a little ochre while I'm here. And I'm going to use another sequel. This is yellow ochre. Very similar color to yellow oxide. They are changeable for the processes of my tutorials, most tutorials, and color mixing.
Yeah.
So, now I'm going to use this. This is a micro mister. It's going to slow my paint from drying down. I'm going to stand in my Superwoman stance.
Yeah. Your Superwoman stance?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to take in my painting and make a plan.
Take it in.
I'm going to take it in. I'm also going to have the hiccups in a second.
You're going to have the super hiccups.
I'm thinking. All right.
Wonder hiccups.
So I definitely want to make sure that I have a phthalo turquoise ocean. So I'm going to take 1 part blue to 1 part green. And that is phthalo turquoise. If you have Matisse paint, or actually there's a bunch of companies that call this color phthalo turquoise. It is awesome. It is one of my favorite colors. Whether you buy it or mix it or however you get it, it is awesome. Right, so we've got that. And then I think I'm going to just do a little premix bead. So I've got a little bead there coming forward just to make sure that I'm getting the color ranges that I want. So if I'm like, oh, that's the perfect amount of green, I could leave it. But I could be like, no, let's put a little smidge of blue in there. Just making sure that things are where I want them to be. I love that. Can you hear the scrape?
Oh, yeah.
It's very ASMR. Listen to the scrape. All the ASMR people went, ooh. Except they're already gone because I'm too noisy. So I'm going to start working out that blend. And again, I'm going to be really depending on my glazing liquid. If you don't have glazing liquid, use water to thin, and you're going to have to work quickly or go back over areas to get them wet again.
Yeah.
Don't let it throw you though. I got to make sure I've got all the white out of this. If I don't, I have to change. I think I got to change brushes.
You got to change brushes?
I got to change brushes. I'm going to just get a number 10 black pearl today.
Okay.
I like to just, when you guys think you know exactly what I'm going to paint with, to like change it up.
You just mix it up.
I think it's important for everybody to be aware that brushes are important, tools are important, but nothing is more important than the artist using them. And there's a lot of ways to get things done, and there's a lot of tools to do a job.
No.
Just work with companies that treat you well.
Having watched Cinnamon for a few years, she can paint with a stick or a Q-tip and coffee if you want it. But these different materials definitely improve your experience as an artist. And I'd say it's as much about that as it is about some of the effects that you can get with some of the you can get more consistent effects with professional products, of course. But also you get more predictable, more reliable kind of observational. You don't have to work as hard to get what you look good.
Yeah.
But again, that doesn't mean that you have to have those professional products to get an effect. You just may have to work a little harder with your less expensive products.
Exactly. So we have that first layer in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a little of this green that I had mixed up and put it into this. I'm going to blend these two areas because I want this to be blending as I go forward. I think what's so unnerving is how green the water actually is. I'm going to even get a little more of my Australian sienna. See how that's on there? Because it's just, the water is just so much greener than you think. It's so much greener than you think. And we have a lot of work to do here in the water, but we're going to love it. Something you must do, if you see me doing this, I am dragging my brush across very level. So not only am I blending, but I'm not blending like this. See how that messes up the look of my water? Here, we don't know if we can go full screen.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like water very much if it's like that, right? If I were just like, it would not feel like water.
Here, lean forward a little bit.
In any way.
See, here it goes.
There it is. Was my hat in the way?
Just when you lean back.
So why am I not panicked about that? Oh, because it's not wet yet, and I have glazing medium in it and can blend it out. If it wasn't, I'd be super panicked. But that's why. The brush stroke directionality also impacts how the image looks. So just be aware of that, and be sure that I'm going to have to really work now to fix that. But I just wanted you guys to see that. Also, it's good to see me fix things, because then even if you did mess it up, you'd be like, oh, it's fixable. So I'm just doing really good here. I'm going to come forward. A little of my turquoise here. A lot more of my nice little Indian yellow. Some glaze. Some glaze. Just glazing as it warms up. So the water is very clear and warm. And you've got two things impacting this watercolor: the reflection of the sky and the color of the substrate underneath. So what do yellow and blue make?
Another color.
Green. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. And the water's warm and clear and free of sediment, so you're really going to see all that happening. You're going to see it a lot. I'm going to get a little of my, I think in this case, my yellow ochre and some white, and I'm going to add my Indian yellow to it to keep it really bright. I'm going to keep pulling it forward. And now I have this basis for my ocean water. There we go. Our dog has a chew toy right now. I really didn't think out. I did the last chew toy shopping, and they run these sales at the pet place where we shop, and they take all of the, I guess, last season chew toys away and put them in a bin on 75% off. And, I paint, so I need to save money. And so she gets chew toys from the 75% off bin. Though if they put my golden paint in the 75% off bin, I would have all of it right now.
And every time it goes on sale, we buy all of it.
I wish it went on sale for like 75% off. So now we have this basis for some green water, and we should start to feel like, oh, this is very tropical.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But we got to make this way more kind of expressive. So I'm going to switch. I really like the Cambridge bristle brush. This is a mix of synthetic and natural bristles. And so it gives me all the fun of my bristle, but it doesn't over soften on me. And I really like it in landscape painting. So you could use any number 6 bright. You could use my number 4 cat's tongue. You could use what you have. We're going to be just working this area. You're just making marks on canvas. I'm just trying to tell you what I'm using so you're not at home going, what you do? I'm going to get clean water. And I'm going to dip my brush. And I'm going to actually just grab a little of my phthalo. And I'm going to come back here to my horizon. Oh, I got to dry it. I'm sorry, John.
That's okay.
This next layer goes in best if your paint is dry and stable, so you can kind of dry brush and blend on top of it.
Cool. All right, guys. So, had to make sure that all my buttons were working. So, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us today. Totally appreciate having you guys here. It's been a bit of a crazy time as we've been shifting gears into this fall schedule, and you're putting up all of these the different collections and stuff up on the website. Oh, by the way, you guys should go out to the website and check out all the collections that are going on, because we have a lot of really cool paintings that are coming up this fall. We've got a bunch of them are posted up on the site now, so. I'm a little flustered. I don't even know what to say today.
Do you not?
I feel like...
I think it's just... I've been sick for a while, and the whole household has been on John's shoulders. Really, let's all just cheer for him, because... Woo! Feeling great now, though. So I'm looking at my painting, and I'm making a strategy. It's always good to look at your artwork and make a strategy about how you're going to get through the next thing. And what I want to point out here is a couple important things about the water before I get started. The water is a kind of random mixture of dark values and this sort of highlight reflection color. A lot of times people get kind of confused of what the highlight reflection color really is, but it is always the sky, because water is a mirror. So when it's reflecting these highlights, it's generally reflecting what's above it. Kind of an interesting thing. So if this were all yellow and red, there'd be like all these yellow and red bits, or just whatever above it. So you see this color right here? If you really observe that, that's here, right? And then I've got the dark values, and they're still coming up in the gradation coming forward. But now I know I need to have at least some more of this color. So as a strategy, art strategies are just ways we get through paintings and enjoy our time more and don't end up frustrated and in a corner. And I can't tell you how many artists don't make strategic planning as they're working through painting. So they get kind of to a middle part, and they're like, wait, what? And then they got to go back. Sometimes if you take a minute and observe it, you can totally save yourself some time. So I have about this much left of that sky color, and I think if I get the rest of this white into it, I'll have enough to get through. I'm going to definitely want to add some glazing medium to it so it doesn't dry out on me. And it wanted to. It was threatening it, but I said no. Not having any of that. We need you today. So I've got that going here. Now I've got all these nice little kind of wonderful colors to work with. The only other one I could see I might put out, when I get down into this range here, I might put out a little of my browns, but very softly, because I want to be very soft and mellow with this painting. So back to my bristle brush, which I mentioned that I liked.
Oh, yeah.
Right here at the back horizon. This will be I'll get a little of my highlight color to make this work.
Sorry, what you doing there? I missed you.
Okay, I'll go back. I'm going to get a little of my highlight color and mix it into my phthalo.
Oh, thank you. That's better.
And I'm going to come back here.
I was reading the chat.
And I'm just making these nice little dashes. Just being, paying a little attention to where the light is, but really just enjoying making these marks on the canvas. Really, one of the things, this is the craziest thing that an art instructor ever had say to me that actually made a huge difference to me, was enjoy making marks on the canvas.
Isn't that what you're just doing here?
That's, you've got to enjoy it.
I mean,
right? You didn't,
That's kind of the point.
Very few people come to the canvas, right, for the sole purpose of just creating a painting that shocks the foundation of society. I mean, I'm not saying there's not a bunch, but much less than you think. And even they enjoy the marks on the canvas. They enjoy the process. Sometimes it's like the very foundation by which they survive the week.
Yeah.
Even though they're important artists, they may be really dependent on their painting practice to thrive. So I'm making these little reflection marks, and already you can kind of see it's taking on a little bit of a water aspect. As I'm observing my painting, I feel like I want it to be darker back here. So I'm going to wipe my brush off, not rinse, and just get some pure phthalo pigment. And along my horizon line, make sure I'm adding some of these as little deep dark shadows. Right? Nice little deep dark shadows that are happening here. Now we have a dance of 3 beautiful colors, the background turquoise, the phthalo, and the sky reflection, all working together to tell us a nice story. And we're not going to the full depth of everything because we're wanting to create a much lighter piece. We're creating a sunlight piece. And I've got to avoid, because I tend to like to work very dark. My strength in painting is very dark valued paintings. And so this is really good for me, which is why I've decided to do this week, to make sure I keep my practice up where I can lighten up as we go. So I'm going to get back into my sky color. And
these marks that you're making, are these nice and flat and level, or are these painterly? Are these...
These are painterly, but much like I talked about earlier where I demoed that scratching back and forth, you don't want to do that, right? You really, really definitely want to keep this level. The water is, even though it's going up and down, you can kind of see that the reflections don't really take a strong diagonal bend. In fact, if I ever saw that in the ocean, I would be really scared. You would see the Sherpa running. First of all, let's recognize that moment. You would see the Sherpa running. So things have happened. If you see me booking out of there, zombies, tidal wave, something. But if I ever saw an ocean where the water was going a direction that it shouldn't, it would really scare me deeply.
Now, are you trying to push this in more of that high hat color?
Yes.
Okay. That was Jennifer was asking if that's what you were looking to do.
I am going to be all high hat today. So when we talk about that, there are some painting theories, and if you think of the grayscale being, 10 values from 1 to 10, white being white and black being black and all the shades in between, I tend to paint a sort of really dramatic piece where all of my values are dark and then I do pops of light kind of on my own. Hi-hat is where you work from the mid of the scale to the whites and you don't do deep shadows and you use color theory more than anything to talk about what you've got going on. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Notice that what I love about this brush is, if you can see how the bristles are, these things will last you forever. And it's why sometimes artists value bristle brushes, because they just go on and on. But if you're vegan, you can't use them. But they just make these beautiful marks. If you are vegan, you can actually use my cloud brush for a pretty good similar effect. So now I'm just letting the water be the deep values that we have here. I mean, we might come back and play with some of the colors that we have as I'm moving forward. This spot, if you look here, it gets a little more green. And we can even start being like, oh, well, now the water, as we come closer, stops being less nondescript and starts becoming more thought out in its reflection. So I'm just making sure I'm observing my shapes and basically expressing most of it here. I mean, I might go right off the rails because I'm me, but so just kind of focusing here in the center. My strokes are getting bigger and bolder as I move forward. know, I want to see how it's looking on the big canvas. I have to, this is how I step back. Oh, happy. I like being me. Do you like being you?
I like it.
I hope you guys like being you.
You know,
I love you, John.
I love you. And just so you know, I love that we have almost 600 people. We have 595 people hanging out with us right now, painting this awesome painting with us. So I think that, you know, I just get excited when so many people come together to paint.
Oh my gosh, it is the best.
Because I mean, that's not, you know, lots of people come together to do lots of stuff. But I don't see a large groups of people come together to paint and create art, and that's just exciting to me when I see this kind of thing happening. So, thank you guys for coming and being part of that.
I am with John on that 100%. All right. I am just making my brush strokes and my reflections stronger and more defined in front. I'm going to be coming back with some mid-tone values that I'm going to be using in the water in a second. And I've got to put the shadow here, but I'm going to do something kind of weird and crazy with it. Something unexpected.
Oh, yeah?
You're experimenting with me. You'll love it. Won't it be fun? So I'm going to take some of my phthalo turquoise and some of my Indian yellow and maybe even a little of this sky color. Oh, perfect. And I'm going to come here and add some of these other green values that we have in the water. You kind of see that sea foam color that we have. So I'm just getting little bits, right? Feel brave. Get little bits. You know, I'm just making sure that this is what I'm seeing and feeling. Get a little more of my Indian yellow. Another trick, you can do a little glaze. I come right here and warm this up because this was getting really warm right here. Now I'm going to get a little more of this and maybe some of I'm using this in place of white, interestingly enough. Which is fun to me. And then over here, it's just definitely warmer. So let's talk about that with the more yellow.
That yellow really does warm it up. I just didn't even think about that, but it does.
Yeah. Well, now we know her feet are just in the warmest, most heavenly water possible. I'm going to avoid getting too hyper realistic in this painting, and I'm going to keep this expressive and loose because otherwise it will be difficult to do some of the more playful color experiments that we're going to be doing, and I really want to be able to get into those. I get some glaze on my yellow ochre. Let's put some of that there. You gotta love a little yellow ochre. It's just look at that. The little glaze and the little yellow ochre. Look at it go. Love it. Now, it's a little kind of creamier and browner here, so I'm just going to have to put out some umber or burnt sienna to really talk about that there. Too much ochre. If ever you get too much, wipe your brush, work it out. I highly recommend not screaming and running away from the canvas at that stage because acrylic paint dries real fast.
Right.
So, painting strategy. I'm loving the community tab that we now have on the channel, John.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
Oh, what a place for me to play and talk to you guys. If you haven't seen it, we now have a community tab.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super awesome because I had really wanted that. And had only initially come with you had to like be doing fundraising through the channel. And now, but I got it for just the tab.
Yeah. Which is nice. So,
which is what I was really, really hoping for.
So now we can.
I had wished, and now I can share gifts with you.
And we can do other cool things that are coming up in the future, near-term shows with it. So stay tuned. We'll be using it for some cool stuff.
I'm just making sure that I have my values that I want through here.
Whoa! Stacy says it's 20 degrees here.
Oh my goodness, Stacy! It
so
is
where
not like this painting. Paint this painting so you can feel like you're okay.
So she says she loves the warmth of the painting. I don't know where you're at, Stacy. I'm sorry. It's gone wrong. It's gotta go warmer.
Scumble this along the tops and follow the waves that I put in. I honor what I've got. And now I'm going to come here, and I know I'm going to need to put out some of my burnt umbers. My burns.
Carol's not making me feel any better. She says it's -3 and snowing there. I'm like,
oh my gosh.
No.
You guys all need to move. Come live next door to me.
Warmer.
Super hot. Super hot. We have the AC on right now. And the rest of the house can't have it back here in the studio because it blows the power. But that will be changing soon. Soon. I will be a comfortable Sherpa in the dead of winter and the height of summer. And I am excited about that. I'm also going to be careful, I'm going to put out some zinc white. You can take the Big Art Quest on white, but basically this is a transparent white. It's different than titanium white. It's warm, has a lower pigment load. It's PW4, so sometimes it's called other things. Sometimes it's called mixing white, and sometimes mixing white is a mix, like titanium buff. Right? And I'm going to treat myself to a little bit of that right here. If you paint with Angela, you should have a tube of that around. If you don't, you can take some raw sienna, touch of that, mix it in the white. Or if you have some Naples, you can mix it in there. You know, but you're just creating this sort of warm off-white, which is super nice for the sand. So I'm going to get my brush just a smidge dirty with my ocean color. See how it is? Smidge dirty. I'm going to wipe it off on the towel. But I want this dusting of pigment there. And I'm going to come over to my titanium unbleached and add a little of my ochre to it. Oh, that's nice. Too much. See, it got away from me and I go, whenever you see me go offload, I'm like, too much. I run away from my own paint color. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to just start talking about this up here. And I'm still just doing that same sort of thing, aren't I?
Yeah.
A little stroke. It's maybe a little higher over here.
Well.
And listen, if you guys are missing a color, don't just stop doing it. It's like yellow is yellow, right? So use what you have. You just may get a different value or color. Like your ocean may be a different kind of turquoise. Mm-hmm. But don't not enjoy the painting process. I'm just scumbling this out and putting this in, and then I'm going to get maybe a little more of that. A little bit of this here and there, just talking about it.
So Mama D was curious.
Hi, Mama D.
Are you gonna draw on the girl, or are you gonna trace her on?
I'm going to. She's complicated, and I can show you the. Well, I believe I can. Somewhere over there is the first pencil of it, and then this is my ink traceable of the pencil that I did.
Yeah.
So I free-handed her, which you can kind of see she's a little different size. So. Yeah. I free-handed her in how I wanted her to be. And she's a little more in my style. But you're welcome to use her. She's free. She's on the website.
Yeah.
And you're welcome to transfer her on. But I find with complex figures and stuff, if you're sketching with paint here, sometimes that's great, but sometimes that can create a bunch of aggravation for you. And sometimes with figure painting for me personally, I like to work some of these things out ahead. I'm going to take a little of my turquoise over to my burnt umber.
Just to let you know, you got over 600
people. Oh,
that's
over too dark, guys.
620 people hanging out painting here with you today.
Excellent.
So thank you guys for coming and being part of our art tribe. We love having you here with us.
All right, we're going to we want these colors to be super soft. Right here. I don't want them to get too dark. And I would be totally tempted to get too dark. Now, I could take my splatter brush if I was going for realism to try to get that speckle, but I'm just trying to get some values of the water and the brown, and not necessarily paint the little water drops off the toe, if that makes sense. Yeah. However, That being said,
let's see
all
here.
right, how are we going to be playful? I feel like I'm going to do something crazy. Where is my ultramarine blue? Is it over here? There it is. You don't. Here, I'm going to vanish, but don't let them know.
They won't know. They'll be like, you're back.
So this was in the materials list because I knew I might get into this. You can do this or cerulean, but I'm wanting to make these sort of soft value cases, and so we're going to see if I can I pull this off? I don't know. Let's find out. I'm going to put out a little quinacridone, like you do. Okay, wish me luck. So I'm going to create this sort of violet value here, and I'm going to use some zinc. I want it to be cool to the blue. And I know here, I'm going to place her. I'm going to think about this real quick. So just talking about placement, because you've got a lot of room with your traceable. If she's in the center, she's a very focal and static image. This is a very peaceful, restful image. We know where she is. We know what she's doing. We don't know where she's been. We don't know where she's going. Maybe that's not that artistically compelling, so you can do this. You can say, hey, here she is coming in. Now she's entering from somewhere off canvas, right? She's coming in. This is sort of like in that guideline of thirds that people call rule of thirds, right? But she's coming in. If you had her off like this, it would be even, look, there's a little story. In this particular composition, she's over here, right?
She's almost leaving the frame, like she's going
almost leaving the frame.
And that implies motion. And,
yeah.
And like, she's something's happening there.
Something's happening here. Something is happening here. So I have to decide how, like, where I want to place her, and I think I'm going to put this part of the traceable here. So I'm going to be like, dink. Okay. Because I know kind of where I want her. I'm going to see if I can pull this off, but we're going to wish me luck, guys. Don't do it till you see how it works out for me. All right. So in this particular piece, I'm going to be doing my shadows in these purples and blues. All right. So here I'm coming across the water with this purple to be my shadow. And it's a little more to the ultramarine than the quinacridone. But you can see it's quite light. I'm using this zinc because the zinc doesn't overpower the color. It doesn't just cream it out. This kind of painting is really generally the domain of oil painters. Sometimes acrylic artists don't get into this, but I'm saying, hey, we can. We absolutely can. You can't stop us. Our paint paints on everything. Except over oil, interestingly enough.
It won't stick.
It won't stick.
Well, see, the thing is, it'll paint, and it will cure, and then it will peel off.
Mm-hmm. Very important scene about that in Keen Eyes.
You can paint it, it will dry, and it'll hang on there for a little tiny bit of time.
I feel like...
And then it's like it magically unwraps itself from the canvas in a matter of days. And then it comes right off. It was really interesting watching that happen.
Okay, so I can always come back here, but I feel like I put that in. Oh, okay, yes. See, so how it's like it reads as a shadow, but it's not dark. Isn't that weird?
Mm-hmm.
I love it. This is going to be so pretty.
It is.
Or not, which is the fun of live. Because if it's not, you'll be right here to see that happen.
And the endless repairs that we will go into.
Well, because I'm committed.
Yeah.
Let's mist our palettes if we haven't.
Mr. Pallet.
Mist your palettes. Whoa! It just went.
It's clouded.
Okay.
It's in the art cloud now.
Take a minute to breathe. I'm gonna let you guys kind of catch up with me. Finding my center. Sometimes we just did this quiz, right, on the community page about I tell goofy art jokes like what color is more complimentary, purple or yellow, which to me was super funny. And then I added, no, wait, I'm a split compliment, and I was just rolling on the floor. But the idea of this is...
She was. Honestly, she's over here just laughing and laughing and laughing.
I thought I was so clever.
She just thought that was the funniest thing. And she told me the joke. And I was like, oh, that's a cute joke. And she's just giggling away at it. She's like, all right, this is going to be so good. And so I saw it. And I thought it was cute, too. I'm red-blue. You know? So...
But everybody took it really seriously.
It is a serious question.
And it is good to take your art seriously, but I think because art is so healing and we get so intensely into it, we're so creative and we're creating so deeply, that it's important to remember to just sort of sit back, take it in, breathe it out, and remember it's just art. It's fun art. It's not fine art. You don't have to be that serious about it. Just relax into it. Sometimes it's color theory super serious, and sometimes it has a silly side, like the double meaning of the word compliment. And it's great to have both in. Oh my goodness, babe, can I blow my nose? I am better.
Hold on just a second. Let me go here. Now can you talk? I can't hear you. So now I can go to this camera and oh wait, but see, you left. See, you're not on the canvas anymore. So I couldn't hear you even if I wanted to. So you're gone. So where is she? We could be looking around for the cinnamon hunting. Where could she be gone? Keep looking for cinnamon. But I think I see her coming. There, she's back. Hi.
I'm back. It's fine. Where were you guys? Anyhow, I'm going to dry my painting now.
Oh, but... Okay. So I turn her back off again. And I'll say, how's it going, guys? Wow, we got over 606 people here hanging out with us. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out. You know, I love seeing all the work that you guys doing and all the paintings. And I'm going out there and I'm giving more thumbs up and more likes on all the paintings that I see out on Facebook. And so thank you guys for putting those out there. I really appreciate it. I love seeing those. Those make all the button pushing worth it for me. It's my favorite thing is to see all the artwork that you guys do. And to see the progress that you guys make. So thank you so much for coming and sharing your artwork with us. It's something that we really like. So, and don't forget, check out our website. You can see got our collections going on up there. You back there, Cinnamon?
I'm so good.
All right, there we go. There's Cinnamon back. Let me go back around and look at the questions that we had going on. We have some questions coming in.
I love questions, and I'm just tracing right now. So I'm just taping. I'm just using a low tack tape.
Oh man, there's some good questions out here.
I'm into it. Let's go.
I think that they're even like over my head.
Okay.
When photographing art, what's the best way to do it?
With what?
When photographing art, what's the best way to do it? That's so big.
Dude, that's so heated even in our house.
Do it well.
If you're doing it for reproduction, go take it to a large flatbed scanner and have it scanned in high resolution so you can have giclées and things printed that will have value. If it is for your portfolio, for entering in a show, for that type of thing, I personally like outdoor morning light, especially if it's not like super bright, like if it's like a bright cloudy day is like my favorite. What you want is to have just good color balance, good white balance. And you can do it on your cell phone. Most of your cell phones will actually take very decent photographs. I mean, we used to pay big money for the pictures your cell phones take now. It's just crazy. But you take that and then you want to keep two files, one high resolution that's for your records, and then a lower resolution watermarked version that is for the internet.
Yeah. So
I'm going to flip that around. Did I answer that way too much?
So.
I think I might have.
Is that Serral paper you're using?
I am using Serral paper.
Yeah.
I am using Serral. It is a really great transfer paper, and it works super well on acrylic paint. And a lot of transfer papers don't. Probably if I weren't doing this for the show, I would do this in yellow because it would blend into her skin tones best. So if you have the multi-pack, I do red, you do yellow.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not. So you guys definitely. Ooh, I'm gonna tape this down one. See how that just moved?
Yeah, you gotta tape it down.
If you see it shift on you at all, tape it in a couple anchor points because once you start make sure she's not tipped.
Yeah, you don't want her leaning over like she's not doing a trust fall
to the ocean.
That's who's. You don't see who's on the other side. That's the trust fall part.
Could be. I needed to sharpen this.
You need to sharpen pencil.
I'm a mess today. Okay, I am better, but you can probably hear it in my voice now.
A little bit.
The cold that's finally leaving me with this little flu thing. It's just been ongoing. So I did an interesting thing here. I did this sort of weird akimbo arm. This is a thing my eldest does all the time.
She also does that. Yeah, she's got some interesting,
angly, awkward, cult-like activities that she's into,
and she embraces them.
Yeah, stand like a flamingo, child.
She's like, I'm going to stand in action poses. Always. If
you painted with me for a while, you know that Honey is often
inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's good inspiration too.
I'm like, hey, come here. Could you stand like this real fast?
She's like this and all.
I'm like, you see this girl here? Can you stand like that but do that thing with your arms?
And she does.
And she does. So I really loved drawing the folds of the fabric. I'm very excited to paint it. Actually, weirdly, because I like painting fabric. And I'm also very excited to paint the feet. I changed the positioning of the foot because I wanted the foot a little more goofily tucked because I do this.
Goofily tucked?
Yeah, you know me, I have all these crazy feet on my girls. It's like a thing. That's how you know I did it. Does it have a crazy foot? All pointed and cramping? Oh, Cinnamon must have painted it. If you use a colored pencil, you can tell all the places you've been easier. Or colored pen or whatever. But really, you're just trying to say, this is my form. I'm not going to do that much on the hair, personally, because that's just really all done in paint. All right, let's hope I did this because it's red. Red. Which is really going to show up on this background. There we go. Because like it's an orangey red. So then it's like, woohoo. Okay. I could use a clean water. Maybe 2 of them. I'm going to use my mister.
A clean water or 2. We can do that, I think.
Yeah, so I'm just misting some clean water on my brush. And I'm just very carefully taking the red off that I put all over my canvas that I did not want. Because that is not a good look. See me make and do here? That's what we do as artists. We make do. You don't have clean water? Mr. Brush! You heard a pop-up show? Okay. These 2, I think. Do. I'm just like, we might as well clean it up while he's getting water anyways. Time management as an artist is an interesting thing because sometimes in a painting, you don't even have to dry it. You can just go work an area that needs your attention while another area is resting and recovering. So I'm just removing. This is the other reason I kind of like the Ceril is it's water soluble. So if I smudgy it, like I'm so heavy-handed, I can just take it off and not be exacerbated about it. How are you guys doing? Fantastic, babe. Thank you. Thank you. We're amazing. So I want to really get into the skin tones, which means I'm going to probably pull a new palette. To do that, I'm going to sort of resolve most of the water around her. Anything else I have to say about it, I'm going to say it now while I got all this paint here. Right? Like you do. I'm going to take a little of my purple mixture. Right? And make sure I've got a lot of white in it. And I'm going to add a smidge, interestingly enough, of burnt sienna. And this shadow, so do you see this here where it's like a shadow, like a reflection, is a little bit warmer, isn't it, of her? And it's an interesting element. And then there's some of this coming out here to the right. And maybe a little bit back this way. We're just using these really playful colors to talk about anything there we've got to talk about. I've got my zinc. And I'm going to just use my zinc to add some highlights and reflections that are happening here. My brush is still dirty with the purple color I had on it earlier. I'm going to zinc it up. So the zinc, you'll notice, is interesting compared to the titanium white, right? Very translucent. And so it lets a lot of what's coming through shine through. And that way you can get your, beautiful water effects that you're trying to get without overwhelming your painting. We're going to not pay attention to what I'm doing with the paint, but I just really want you guys to be looking at a clean palette when I'm mixing skin tones. Now, interestingly enough, this can still have shadow, the sky color in it, so we've got our shadow there, right? Take a little of the ultramarine into this, like this, and you can also add the water reflection ripples here.
Okay.
See how we're doing? So it's like the sky is still there. And I know it makes everyone crazy when I say living shadow, but guess what?
What's that?
It's a living shadow.
No.
You can't stop me. I say the things I need to say.
It's alive. Alive.
It needs to be alive. I just did the ultramarine and the zinc. I'm just trying to make sure that there's... See? There we go. So that's very activated. Everything is getting really activated.
And so today, boys and girls, we learned not to kill your shadows.
Don't kill them. They're alive. And they need your care. You can find a couple places in the water that need more of your little highlights. You can zinc it up if you've got your zinc out. Look at that go. Isn't that just... Oh, I love it. I love it, I love it. Love it, I love it. And there should be a lot, weirdly, along the edge of this. It's just a strange thing, but just go ahead and...
Now, what brush are you using right now?
This is still the number 6 Cambridge. It's just a nice landscape brush. Good to have in the bucket.
Yeah.
Having a good brush that's a mix of synthetic and natural bristles is just worth having around because you can do a lot of stuff with it. All right, I think we're ready to get into the meaty bits.
Oh, yeah?
The meaty bits. So, wait, no, don't show them. So let's look at that. I'm going to take that in and see how we're doing. She's really pretty. This is going to be one of those ones like the Pure where you're just like, oh, I love this so much. Right? I'm going to take the things out of my line of sight that I don't need. Keeping the things in my line of sight that I do need. And we're going to mix our master or base skin formula. Again, in the description below, there's a link to this video's page. There's an infographic. There's some reminder text. So if this escapes your mind later, you can go by and just refresh anytime you need. But this is for warm skin tones, right? And the first part of, don't go anywhere, guys. I need you later. Of the base skin recipe, right, is yellow ochre. And then cad red light. Okay. Here we go. So this is the master skin tone recipe that we're going to do. I'm using real cad here, so it's really powerful. You may need to adjust your recipes if you're using hues. So you know how when you're using fresh herbs in cooking, you use less than if you're using dried?
Yeah.
Hue, real pigment, same kind of principle.
Ah, gotcha.
So it's just a good way of thinking of it. So we're going to... Where did our glaze go? Over here. Did we ever Did I ever get it open, or did I not get it open?
I don't know.
I did not. Well, it's kind of oozing. I'm going to want a little... There we go. I got the glump out. How did I get a glump? I don't know. I did it. So I'm going to be mixing 1-to-1 initially. Maybe 2-to-1. 2 ochres to 1 cad. Right. So if you wanted her skin tone to be more red, you'd have to put more cad in there. But I kind of want more of a golden. So I'm a little heavier on the ochre. Right? 1-to-1 also works. Just do 1-to-1. And I'm adding the glazing medium. And the reason I'm adding it is because sometimes it can be a pain when you're new to skin tones to get back to your master recipe. And if you create one and work from it, it will help you unify your figure painting.
What does that mean?
Well, so sometimes when you're new to figure painting and you mix a little bit of skin tone and you mix another little bit of skin tone and mix another little bit of skin tone, everything sort of looks stitched together like a Frankenstein figure. But you can kind of be off on your skin tone if you're unified. If your base skin that you're working from is the same and you're lightening and darkening that, even if it's not ideal to the model that you used, you will at least have a nice painting.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So this right here that I don't have to be too stressed about because it's got glazing medium in it. I'm going to clump it up. So if it's all in a little ball like this, it'll dry even slower because it's more quickly to dry when a lot of surface area is exposed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got that. Now I'm going to need to, I'm going to put out some of my titanium buff, and I'm going to make a light value, right? So I've got this. You can use Naples yellow, right? If you need to, I'm going to put out a little titanium white into this as well. Probably be using quite a lot of that. So I'm really going to make a very warm. All right, this is quite light. What do we want to put in there? When we start painting and fiddling with all our highlights and shadows, we want to be able to get our color anytime we need it and not be stressed about mixing it, right?
Yeah.
All of our focus needs to be on finding our value sets. So I have this nice highlight here, and I'm going to take a bead. That is too orange. There it goes. It's like, what? Sometimes you just got to mix it in, man.
Just mixing.
Just mixing.
That happens. Mixing's happening.
But now we have a nice kind of very soft thing. And because she's in the sun, I might add just one more ochre to that.
So you have unbleached titanium and titanium.
I have unbleached and titanium. You could also use Naples.
Okay.
This just saves you a lot of color mixing.
Gotcha.
And you should have it around for skin tones. It's nice. All right. So I have this here. So that's pretty good. Some color, some color. And I may even, I feel like I want to add one more ochre to this. More 1-to-1. There we go. Okay. And I'm wiping off my palette knife over here. I definitely am going to want to put out a cool shadow and a warm shadow. So you can use this. Now I could cool this with Viridian green. I could cool this with Doc's purple, or I can cool this, if I have to, with ultramarine blue. I don't like the ultramarine blue. I think it goes too cool. So I'm going to do the Doc's purple. If you got some Viridian green on a previous lesson, it's a great place to play with it. Taking this particular case is a smidge. See a little bit?
The smidge.
The smidge. The smidge is a very important smidge. I know this mixing part, not fast. This is why tutorial people love a time lapse right here at this moment.
Yeah.
You don't need a lot of this cooler shadow, right? You need some of it though. Making sure I don't want this to dry out. I'm going to get some of my master skin tone recipe, right?
Our smidge in the middle of the palette.
Yeah.
Just get it in there. Mix it up.
So this particular, like, this would be like our deepest value, right, in the skin. And it's even still, because I want to be lighter with it. There we go. There's our, let's get our warm. And our warm's going to be based on burnt sienna. Okay, so I'm going to put out a little more white, because I think all these could hit with a little more white in there.
Now, was that burnt sienna or raw umber?
Burnt sienna.
Burnt sienna.
And I have burnt umber. I don't have any raw today.
Okay. Just
Just
burnt.
personally.
All burnt.
Now I'm going to take this. This is my unbleached. And I'm going to hit this real quick.
Just so you know, you got over 650 people here that have been watching you mix paint.
It's just, you can just listen. I'm so sorry. I know.
No, I think it's great.
So I'm taking my master recipe over here. My master recipe. It sounds super controlling, but unfortunately. So see that? That's another kind of shadow that we've got there. All right. So we've got some skin tones.
Skin tones.
That we can play with. I'm going to put out a little more ochre. For a panic attack, I thought I put out Cadron medium. I was like, I am not doing this correctly. All right. And we're going to start painting her in. And I'm going to get a pretty small brush. I need a teeny tiny, I might get my glasses out and I'm going to get, number 2 shader in my glasses, and I'm going to work the hardest parts first.
What's that?
Face. So, I know I've got, only, I guess, a little cool shadow here at the jaw. And maybe at the back of the nostril. I'm going to get right into this here. Just along your little jawline. It's going to take some blending for sure. I'm going to be working at it for sure. Also on the traceable, I do not like how it traced her profile on. So I'm going to get my brush rinsed out like a smart cookie instead of just painting a big smear of brown where I don't want it. And get this part of the traceable kind of knocked back because I don't really love it. It made like a 3 mountain range. And I gotta give her a nice line. So it's like, what is going on with her face? That's what's going on with her face. Sometimes the traceable, you can trace it and it just, if you're not right on the lines, It can be a problem. So if you've ever been like, oh my God, I can't even trace, don't even feel bad. You just saw it happen to me. Right? It's a thing that happens. What do? You just work around it. Okay, I'm going to get my light color because I got to take out this red line anyways.
Okay.
And I'm going to work out her profile while I'm doing it. Fix it. So I'm going to soften around her eye here. And I'm going to tip up the nose. But I'm going to round that because that was just too crazy what I had there. And I'll pull this little highlight area back on her face. I'm tapping my canvas with my finger to make sure it's not too wet because I don't need a watercolor effect. And I'm going to give myself a little lip, sister lip, and a nicer, more rounded chin line. It is going to take a couple coats. And I am painting Pro Paint. Now as I'm coming back, I'm going to get a little of my main skin recipe. And I might add a smidge of my yellow ochre. And I'm going to blend along her hairline. This kind of warmth. Maybe along her little cheek line here that we were starting to shadow. So this is why I let this be an about face, is because we're working some stuff here. We're working a small face and we're having to make little decisions that are going to have big impact. Around the eye, go ahead and take your base skin tone recipe and a little of your white. And just even make that lid even lighter. I'm going to bring this highlight on the cheekbone around a little bit. We're just pulling this in. So if it takes you a couple coats, don't freak out.
Yeah, that happens.
Huh?
It happens.
No, it just does. Just paint it. If it needs to dry, you can let it dry. Here's something to think about. Don't think of it as a face. Think of it as a ball that's being lit right here. And you have to shade the round, right? So if you're shading a ball, you go from dark up to the highlight. Sometimes if you can get yourself out of your tape.
Yeah.
And let me see if my stuff it's like rough because my stuff is far from me. So I've taken my shadow color and a little of my yellow ochre, my base color. And just, if I need more glaze, put some glaze out. And then just blend it. Maybe it blends there a little bit too. Just keep it soft. Grab my shadow. How is everybody doing? Is anyone frustrated?
Really
is there a
good.
project coming?
Really good. As a matter of fact, so there was just a question. I think Tammy was just asking about the layers that you were putting on there, and it was struggling with, how to get through the process of all of these different very complex tones.
So
This wouldn't be one to start on. This wouldn't be your first painting.
Don't let this be your first painting. Do watch it though, because you're going to learn a lot about how art is constructed, and you are going to be here. Everybody gets here.
Yeah.
Right? And you're going to, like, you can be new to painting, and with just a little of experience with the layering and dry brushing the techniques, you can follow these along and make these, and you really surprise yourself. So if I look here, right, there's a lot of visual information, isn't there? You see all the little hairs, the massive structure of her ear. You see this shadow. You see all the muscle. Just a lot, right? Let that go. Let it go, right? And what you're going to want to see is just this shadow. This mid-tone highlight, this bright highlight, that shadow. Just the 4 values that you're really dealing with here. Get those addressed. You can tighten it up as much as you want or loosen it up as much as you want. But if you can get these basics understood and resolved in your head, you know, the more you stare at it, it's why I've been getting you guys the reference photos, is the more that you stare at it, the more you're going to see it. So like there's a shadow here and then there's this highlight here. And I mean, you could take it where like highlight on the ear. Like when you look at a really great romantic oil painter, he'll paint all these basic values in and he'll hit like a little highlight. And it's like, you're like, that's an ear. Where did the ear come from, man? Because he's on it. So I'm taking my master color over to my highlight color. I am lightening it up. And I'm going to make sure that I have the little highlight on the neck coming forward. Right? And then there's a little bit of that there. We're blending it back. Blend it back. You know, blend it back. That's all you gotta do. You got to get a highlight up at the neck. And I might, whenever something is facing the sun, either get your Indian yellow involved or your yellow ochre. Just to kind of talk about that glow. Oh, I think the traceable got me again here, so I'll have to shave it back with the, we'll see. So I just warmed that up with that glow. This. And maybe a little of my white. Come right here.
All right.
Just make sure I've got a little highlight here. A little bit there. Got a pretty good one on her ear here. There is the front of her nose. One of the things I want to capture is I want to make sure I get it light enough on the front of her nose. Not like going to go completely bananas, but I want to make sure it's light enough on the front of her nose. So I'm going to take my highlight skin tone right over to my titanium white. Not even my zinc, right? Or is this my zinc? Nope, that's my titanium white. So what I did there is by squishing it between my fingers, I could see if it was transparent or not. Sometimes if you can't tell on your palette, that will help you. So I'm going to make sure that there's one. It's not pure white because I need one last white highlight here. But this is just highlighted right there. See? And right over the eye here. Let's get more of that. I'm enjoying it. At the back of the brow bone, there's a nice little highlight bit there. Let me get back into my, I just really want a little yellow in it because she's been out tanning. I'm going to I'm going to pull this back on her forehead. Just, there's the base skin tone. Then here at the hairline, put that back in. That's the blush that you might see. Just making sure I've got the shadows. So see, I've got that basic shadow shape going, and that's what I'm trying to get, is that basic shadow shape.
The basic shadow shape.
Shadow shape.
Shadow shape.
I'm going to get some of my dark shadow highlight. I haven't even rinsed my brush. That's the other thing about having the skin tones out like this, is a lot of times you don't have to rinse your brush. So suddenly getting lots of micro mixtures is not your enemy. You just don't rinse your brush and you go get some of your mix. Okay, I'm just going to put a little of the dark color in here so that that's happening. It's gotten away from me a little bit around the ear.
Yeah.
So I'll have to definitely address that. Take a little of my base mix. Add a little yellow to it. Now I could actually get quite red around the ear, weirdly. It's going to take me a couple chances to get this shape right. It got away from me. So right now it's like a big donut, which I do not want. You don't want a big donut. Fix that. One thing I am going to do is I'm going to take my base mixture, which is super red.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make sure that my ear has that. Right up to the earlobe, but not the earlobe itself. Also going to come in front with that. I'm going to get back into my dark skin tone and make a little triangle shadow under the ear. And then I'm going to trim this in a bit so that the ear is not a giant donut. Which is not, she doesn't want that. She's like, she's talking to me and she's saying, could you knock that off?
I think you're overlooking the Homer Simpson demographic here. Lynn thinks that cauliflower ears hurt.
I think so too. And I don't want her to have cauliflower ears. So that's how I'm going to get down. Now, it's kind of red. We've got a little shadow in there. It's all going to be about these highlights. So I'm going to take a little of my yellow and my base skin mixture. And I'm going to get it right into my white. I'm going to highlight right here. Right inside. Right here. Look, it's just earring up. When you, if you can zoom out, they might be able to see it.
I can't hear you. What'd you say?
If you zoom out, they might be able to see where it's. I got to zoom out too. There we go. Starting to get near. See. Yes, ear. Happening. We got an ear. All right. So we've got this very bright. So it's the base, a little bit of yellow, and the white. We're making it super, super light. We're going to make sure that what's in the sun feels sunny. I am going to come back with a very rosy color. Get a bunch of white on here. Haven't rinsed it. Bunch of white. Need a light value. Not white, but really light. This is the hardest part of her. Everything else about her is super easy. I'm going to add this next highlight in the forehead. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
It's important. Okay. Just right here along the bridge of the nose. On the chin. I'm going to come and get my base, mix it into the Just a little mixture of highlight. So I've got it over here. Got a little highlight and the base. Adding a little warmth. Because girlfriend likes the sun. Gotta get my glaze. Ooh, what? How much? You know what? It's so hard to see the palette with the glasses and then the painting. But I want to make sure that I'm blending back and getting the blue out that I've got. So the nose, just as an observation, just so you guys know, is in a shadow behind the front part, the nostrils. So I've got to make sure that there's a couple shadows I'm getting before I get these last highlights on and her whole face goes pop. See, I've just blended, I've just rounded and blended.
Yeah.
So, looking like a face. I hope. Right? Got this color right here. You can get some more yellow into it. A lot more white. Come right at the neck. Right at the chin. Right here. The eyelid. Make sure the nose is good. Forehead. There's a little bit right here. Can you see it? I'm blending it in at the jawline.
Like I was zoomed in on it with a camera.
Like you were? Are you?
I don't. Nope. Not anymore. We're looking at
so
something else.
Now I've got my shadow. I'm going to mix it into a little more of my base color. And I'm going to start. This is the most stressful part for me, which is the nostrils. The shading of the nostril. Proceed slowly is my advice. Don't do too much because it doesn't take a lot of shading to like change the whole profile. I'm going to give a little shadow right here at the inside of the eye. If you did the nose drawing quest with me, you'll like totally know what I'm up against here.
The nose quest.
If you did the nose quest, you know. You totally know. I really love the shadow color, so I'm going to get some glaze on it, maybe just a little more of the shadow. Warm it with just a smidge of the ochre. So you can see this is how I'm dealing with her tan, with her skin, with her sunlight. I'm going to just come along the chin there, just a smidge. Soft, 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 soft. Right under her eye, right here. Maybe a little bit back at the nose. Now, here's an interesting thing. Her nose also can be a lot more red. So pull out a little of your base color in your glaze. Warm that up like you do. You can even come right under. Okay. Now, once I have that, I'm going to get into my highlight color. Make sure that that's shaded. I got it. Oh. There we go. Wipe off right into your highlight. But we don't want it to be white because we're going to need white in a minute to make the nose work. After we successfully, and boy, I'm being optimistic about this, put in that shadow. All right. So now that I've got that base shape in on the face, and I'm happy with it, I'm going to rinse out, and I'm going to get an even smaller brush. I'm going to get this detail. This is 3/0. You just want whatever in your kit is giving you good defined lines. And I'm going to get my deep skin mix. And I'm going to make this tiniest little nostril here. Maybe just a smidge of a definition there. You can even take this dark color at this stage and start to bring the lip back. I'm going to come under the eyelid. And right above the lashes. So if the lashes are here, you want to come back from the nose, right? Where the lashes are, come above them. And that's how you arc the eyebrow. Just tap that in. I'm going to tap in these light eyelashes. I don't want them too dark. She's in the light. So there she is. Now, I've got this base skin tone. This is going to be the basis for whatever I've got going on in my lips. You can add a smidge more red to it to work from, and you can also like get it down with like a little purple if you need to, but we're gonna mostly just come right here and very lightly pull out a shadow. These are tiny little strokes. Proceed cautiously. All right, there we go. What?
Julianne says, John, please tell your wife that she's wicked awesome. She really she looks so real. She deserves it.
Oh my God, thank you.
I'm guessing she's Canadian.
Oh,
because it was wicked awesome.
I like wicked awesome.
Yeah.
So I've lightened my lip color up a bit with my white.
Thank you, Julie. You're wicked awesome.
Going to pull. Make sure there's enough pigment to pull there. I'm going to pull the highlight. And I'm also going to use this to highlight the upper lip. There we go. Back, 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 back. By degrees. It's just by degrees. Wiping this off. Getting a nice amount of my white, white, white. It still has the pink on it. Okay. So a little bit right here. It comes down the side. And you can put a little bit at the tip there. And that starts to give her. Make sure that's all nicely developed. All right. So now we have a face. Once we start to have that, all the rest of this just goes in super, super easy comparatively because these are much simpler, more rounded shapes.
Now, what brush were you using there to get that fine line control?
All right. So this is a 3/0 ArtSherpa round.
Okay.
I have, where's my little, okay. So if you're needing detail brushes, but you're really, really stuck on a budget, this whole pack is
those
great.
are pretty good.
And they will get you through, and then when you're ready to upgrade, you can upgrade, but these are awesome, and they do keep good points. All right. Here we go, here we go, here we go. I'm going to have a breathe, and then I'm going to finish her out because she's going to be so pretty, and then my daughter's going to sit there and say it's hers, and I'm going to observe her. So she's warm, which is what's important. I'm going to miss where's my misty thing? She's warm. Her features are delicate. What happens to us is our tools in this area can be really challenging for us. And it's just getting to a place where you're like, oh, I'm really comfortable with my tools. And you can do little, in an area this small, you know, a little shadow is a lot of impact.
Yeah.
Right? So it's about just proceeding slowly and really, really breaking down what you're seeing, right? And being comfortable with that. And even like here, I may come back and do some like cool weird blue and purple things and stuff like that for shadows, but it's just got to have this as its foundation. And I'm going to sip some coffee or get a new I need a new coffee.
More coffee.
How are you guys doing? Any
Good.
questions before we rock the rest of her out? Because the rest of her's pretty easy.
Well, I have to say, everybody was just saying how fantastic they think you did with the face, how flawless it is. So they really, really like this.
Thank you so much, guys. And I totally could use something from you, which is to tell me what your experience is with the face. When you're painting it, let me know, right? Always give me feedback, like what really worked, what really helped you get it, or what did you feel like wasn't gelling? And then I just sit in my little space and try to figure out how to like make it gel. So we have this dynamic going on, you and me. And so if you can just let me know, like, this really worked, do this every time, or hey, had no idea what you were talking about. A lot of times you guys will say that, be like, I don't want to offend you, but I was completely confused. That's okay. That's totally fine. Let me know those things because then I make adjustments. The one where you guys, so on occasion say don't talk, that doesn't really help me because I don't think I can stop.
Not happening, folks.
Oh, I'm loving her so much.
So just a lot of people are saying they're watching on a big screen TV and they're loving her too.
Yeah,
so,
she's a gorgeous piece.
You guys, you can do this too. That's what we're here doing. This is a 3-hoot painting. But this is only a 3-hoot, man. Yeah. This is like, you get some paintings under your belt and you can totally do this.
Yeah. These really are, and sometimes I know people are like, oh, how can this be a beginner? Because beginners they're not one person in one simple box that you put them in and say, you are now a beginner. There's a whole journey of beginner before you get to kind of that intermediate.
Back into your beginner box.
Yeah, into a whole nother beginner box. But just trust me, there's a lot of this that has to happen so you can take workshops, so you can go out and have this whole art life, so you can do art the rest of your life and be like, somebody just recently said to me, and I thought it was the biggest compliment that they felt, I'd gotten better since they see me on YouTube, both teaching and painting. And I was like, thank you. Yeah. I hope that never stops being true. Right? That would be so disappointing if I came to the completion of my art. Yep. I would be so bummed. What else would I do? I like to paint. Everybody, Monet was painting and getting better till he died. All right. Let's rock her in.
All right. Rock her.
Rock. Let's first lay in our deepest shadows that we can see there. Okay. And I'm going to make sure my detail brush is super rinsed out. I will probably start with this small one just because these spaces are tight, but I may eventually move into some other ones. So I'm going to just put this in. So the akimbo arms, which also in the Facebook group, we don't have nudes posted. Not that there's anything wrong with nudes or painting nudes or any of that. It's just, Facebook, terms of service, family group, whole bunch of reasons. Anyhow. Right. So I was like, how can I do this painting and have it still be something you guys can share in Big Art Quest or in the TheArtSherpa official? And this was my solution to that. And then I found it was super charming, and I really actually thought it was an improvement because it felt like she was like hugging herself and dreaming. Yeah. So I'm just going to make sure I've got this here. Just making sure these darker values are represented. Coming down. She's got this sort of nice ellipse shadow, which I'm sure I'm going to be talking about a lot on her little belly. They're wonderful. And then a little bit maybe, even though the hair is going to be here, we'll bring this back here. Lots of blending to do, but should go in fairly fast as we go. So then there's also, so what's wonderful is because now things are shaded from above, then you've got everything that's happening at the feet. Feet make me happy. I feel you can tell a lot about a person's personality from what their feet have going on. I watch my kids' feet. Okay, this is so weird. I watch my kids' feet a lot. It's just this thing I do. I don't know what to say. I just do it. I'm going to come back with this blue in a minute to do some stuff, but we'll have to see. All right, are we done? Are we pretty happy? Yeah. That's starting to to talk. I'm going to get a little of my purple. Nope. Well, barely any of my purple. And my brown. But let's let it show with some white, right? So this isn't just brown, it's got a little purple cast to it. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, I think so.
Titanium, there we go. So I think I have some basic thoughts there. My towel is sticky. What's going on? All right, so let's start working our basic color. So I'm going to add a little of my ochre to our shadow color and work with our base skin tone. We're going to find some nice blends that we can work with. Here we go.
See, you tricked me. You
did?
You go talking about feet and then you paint a neck.
I know. I don't know. I'm just working along. Right?
You're messing with me.
I like messing with you. I've got a lot to do here, though. Got a lot to do. And I got to find it. And then I got to paint it. And I got to add some yellow so it's warm because she's in the sun walking in the beach. No, I cannot wrap. But you already knew that. But just me trying. Oh. Highlight here. Just let the sun shine on her. Right?
Shine on.
Shine on. The sun come in. Start to warm her. Whatever's been troubling her is melting away. You can see it. And the world is troubling. Lord knows. I mean, I don't know what we'd do without the beaches, guys. So I'm going to get her hand here. And it's going to be a balance of the highlights and shadows of this hand. And she's going to end up having some hair that comes over the front. So we've just got a lot to work with here. We're going to just get this in. And then when it starts to go in, I'm going to offload and grab a little of my shadow color and make sure that right here, there's a little shading between these two spots, right? Because they're impacting each other. Little arm, little space. Let's get a little of our yellow, a little of our highlight, and then a bunch of white like we like to do. To say, oh my goodness, it's so bright outside. Oh my goodness, it's so bright. And then, well, I've got it. I might as well just bring it right here because maybe some of that there too, right?
Yep.
Sometimes I'll do that. I'll be like, I've got it already. And add that right there. And then maybe a little bit of that right there because we've got that on that muscle. See how I've picked that roundness of that arm? We're talking about the roundness of that arm. Oh, I've got my warm shadow. This is an interesting thing. So I'm going to take my base skin tone over here. I'm still gonna maybe add a little ochre to it. A little glaze on here. Because the shoulders are so warm. And the arms are so warm. We want to make sure that we're showing that. We're starting to anyways. Are we all doing okay? Are we getting her in okay?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The people are loving this coming in here. So
I am so glad you got. We're going to have some more short lessons drop, certainly all over the holidays. But thank you so much for doing these more involved lessons. It just brings me a lot of joy to share these with you. So I'm just shadowing. And so let's pay attention to some things that we're seeing here. There's this nice little shadow here and here. And if we're observing it, can you tell the difference between this shadow and this shadow? Its value? Can you see the kind of red tones here?
Oh, yeah.
And the sort of blue tones here?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. That's all that's going on. It's just crazy how that can be. I'm going to just a little of this and some ochre. And I'm going to come right here. And start talking about this back. And we're just blocking in. This is coat 1, right? So don't be stressed. I love this wrist right here. It's so bent. You wouldn't think something like that would make me this happy, but it makes me totally happy. We're going to come along this edge here and pull and pull. So the trick to paintings like this is to not give up. I'm telling you. Those willing to stand and face the canvas shall be victorious. And I'm going to come get a little of this yellow into our highlight color. Just make sure that we're talking about the front here while we're, just shading. And what's lovely is there's sort of this hip highlight that I just think is just spectacular. So into. I'm going to get her base skin tone and a little yellow. Wipe off because I got a little crazy. And come shading around the barrel of her belly, which is really quite lovely. Really nice soft belly. And take a little of this base mix and maybe a little of my highlight. Come and make sure that this is warm but darker right back here. Paying attention to these spaces will really help. And I'm going to do a thing, I think, where I have these deep, deep shadows where I'm going to take it a weird direction. I'm going to put out my, no, that one, my ultramarine and my quinacridone. Because I don't want these values to get deep, right? I want to keep this very bright as a painting. And so one way I can do that is create these very distinct, cool value sets in deep shadow zones. My glasses. In deep shadow zones.
Deep shadow zones.
Deep shadow zone. Miss your paintings. Not your paintings. Don't miss your paintings.
Shadow zones.
Don't miss your paintings. They'll drip. Okay, I didn't mean to put out the dog's purple. I meant to put out the quinacridone.
You're just going paint crazy.
I'm just going, I got paint. I'm just putting it out. Look at how hot messy that is.
There's a solution for that.
I know what you're saying. So see back here where it's quite dark? I'm tempted to take my quinacridone over to my ultramarine and get quite a lot of white here. And where I'm having to say things are quite dark, I think I'm going to come back with this purple. What do you think of this?
Yeah.
Craziness, right? Right underneath this ear too, I think I'll put a little of the shadow. And down, and a tint of it in the ear. I take this up over the bone into this deep part of the shadow of the arm, and right here. And then just right under her elbow, right over the brown glaze. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the back, I'm going to actually just do it with this violet as well. Oops. Move my brush on myself. Just shade this. And if you need glaze, get glaze. Don't be afraid of your glaze. And don't be afraid of using something like this color to create dramatic shadows. That, you know, play with imagination.
Zoe called it. She loves the periwinkle.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just a really neat way to go. Let me look at that real quick and see how that's evaluating out. Oh, yeah, that's cool. See, that's a way of talking about incredibly bright lights.
And getting to use cool colors like periwinkle.
And use cool colors like periwinkle.
And puce.
I'm going to add just a smidge to the interior of the nose, but not a lot. And maybe a smidge along the line of the eye. See what I did there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm crazy like that. Let's shadow this little bit right here.
We should pull out some of those other colors like chartreuse.
Well, I think we're doing pretty darn good. Pretty darn good with what we're doing. You know, where we can tell that there's some deep value here. I'm bringing that little shadow there because this does this little thing here. And once I get this in, then I can come back into my skin tones. Now I'm going to wipe this off and do an interesting thing. I'm going to get into my yellow ochre. We talked a little bit about complements, and then I'm going to add this base skin tone. And I'm going to make sure that we're just blended.
Blended.
These are...
Now we've got several other videos on skin tones too.
We do. This is probably our most advanced skin tone lesson.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a lot more. I'm going to get into my highlight color. And I'm going to bring this all around on the shoulder. Right here. Bring that around on the shoulder. We're getting there. We're just shading our skin. I'm going to get a little of my yellow over here, a little of my highlight color, smidge of my base color, and a lot of my white. Make sure that I am highlighting along my hand. So here we go on the top. I'll highlight along the hand. A little bit right here at the elbow. Maybe another little bit here at the arm. I think I want a little more of the gold in it.
Mm-hmm.
So the yellow and the purple in this are also playing against each other visually. I'm going to get a lot stronger highlight for the shoulder. Comes here. And right there. Focus it right there at the curve of that shoulder. How's she doing? Let me look at her. She rounding it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, she's starting to round.
You can see there, it looks really good.
Yeah, when we get the white skirt on her blowing and those shadows are also pink and blue, it just really starts to have its little moment. Magic little moments. Now I'm going to take my periwinkle, because I need to think about something else for a second, which is the quinacridone and ultramarine super power color. I'm going to get a little of my shadow color and mix it into it. See how I'm doing? Get your glaze. Now you're cooking with fire. I'm going to come here, and there's this beautiful sort of elliptical shadow that happens under here that we definitely want to capture. And then I'm going to come to the front of the belly right here with just a hint of that. Get more glaze. So that is the blue with our shadow color, which we'd already kind of tinted with purple. So you see how we kind of had a thought here.
Yeah.
How we were playing purple and yellow together. Ha ha ha! The quiz, it had a purpose. But anyways, how we were playing purple and yellow together. Right? And orange.
Yeah.
To create these incredible value sets. You know, so I'm going to just take a little of this shadow right here above the hip. And I'm going to blend a little bit of the brown in right here. So we're starting to do that. And I'm going to take a little of this glaze right here. So we're still doing pretty good. And we haven't even put the hair on, which we could totally like cheat the whole thing if we put the hair on. I'm going to take a little of my skin tone right here. So that's just readied it up. And blend here again. See, I'm softening this. So I don't have oils, and I don't have, you know, the ability to blend indefinitely, right? But I'm not rinsing my brush, I'm just grabbing this. But I can spend a little time glazing my layers, blending my layers, and shaping my value sets. How's she doing? So there we go. Just painting her expressively. I'm taking this warm color right here. I need to cool the front of her arm. I'm going to come right into this. But I've already got this other color on it. Watch this. I'm going to come around the front. Just along the edge here. Oh, I love it. It's crazy how it happens, isn't it? Look at that. There it goes. And I haven't even done the big ooh-ha-ha yet. You haven't even seen the big ooh-ha-ha. But now we're starting to see, right? These object shape, these elements start to take place. I'm going to take a little of my yellow ochre on a as clean as I can brush. Right? Clean as I can. I might add just a smidge of my highlight skin tone to it. And we're going to get a lot of white. Right here in the middle. Oh, still too yellow. So if it's really yellow, I'm going to take that yellow right there because that's where we still need some. Here we go. And rinse out more or get new brush if I'm really still struggling. New brush, new shader.
New brush.
Sometimes shaders are hard to wash out. You need to actually take them and get the soap to get the paint out of them. So I'm going to take my base skin tone.
Because it does cure. You got to get it out of there.
And my titanium white. And I'm going to make the highlight for the belly button. Right here. And put a highlight on her hip. I do want just a little more yellow in that because it's sunny. Just warmer. There we go. Warmed it up a bit. Right on the bright part of the arm. Here at the shoulder. There's one at the bone. And then her shoulder's pretty warm right here. See that? Just blending it back. Right at the front of the hand. Top of the arm.
Mm-hmm.
See, we're just... Let's look at her. How is she looking?
Amazing.
She look like she's sunbathing
Everybody
weirdly?
is saying amazing.
She's really pretty.
Annie plays Roblox is like, thumbs up, definitely loves it.
Thank you,
Thumbs
Annie.
are there.
Thank you. These are our end of the year. I just grabbed some more yellow and some white. I just want to make sure this is golden. If ever you feel a line is too harsh, right, you can just take a glaze and soften it, by the way. See? Even if your acrylic paint is dry, it can always glaze. So you can always take anything that feels too harsh and still create gentleness around it. I'm not too worried about right here because I'm going to take a couple bits of hair through here because I think that's just going to be super dreamy. So right now I'm going to take, actually I'm going to go right into my blue. I'm going to drop in a happy little belly button. Like you do. How's that looking? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
She's got a beautiful little belly button. Happy joy, 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 joy. Now my fun part for the skirt, I'm going to get just a really small, whatever my smallest bristle brush is, and or I might grab like a number 2 braid. Just we'll see how the bristles do, and then well, I'll do the legs. Legs. Good news, I can get a little bigger on my brush with the legs. So I'm happy about that. So I'm going to take a little of that periwinkle into this. And we've got a little of that white in it so we can see what it is. And we're going to do this shadow. This is the deepest one right here. Right, it's under this leg. And I may come back. And here's my quinacridone and my ultramarine blue. White on it. Make sure that we've got a little of that right here. Can you see that? So I'm coming forward. And I'm going to take a little of my shadow color into my base skin tone. And that is this part. Interestingly enough, there's this sort of in shadow yet super warm rounded shadow right here. Make a little more of that. So I'm just on a number 4 bristle. Is everybody okay?
Yes.
Are we all still even here?
Oh no, there's that. Almost 600 people are still here hanging out with us, painting along with this girl. So they're really enjoying this. This has been great. Let's see here.
I'm going to take the shadow up here too while I'm at it, which is my shadow color and my base color.
That was an interesting question.
So into it.
Why aren't you using a 1/4-inch grass comb brush for blending skin tone?
You could. I have one.
So that's an option?
So what she likes about it is this is one of the best grass combs like ever. This says this filbert grass comb. The filaments are sort of clipped. You know how when they do the flip at the hairdresser?
Yeah.
And so it gives you a very soft edge. Where fans started to fail acrylic artists because they didn't make a fan for them, these came in, and this is a fantastic way to blend. But if I fully blended her out too much, she wouldn't really go with the ocean, would she?
Yeah.
right? So we're painting her in a more expressive style. And one of the things that you want to do is whatever you're doing in your painting, you know, you got to kind of commit to what you've got going on. Not right or wrong, just something to do. I'm going to make sure I've got my little shadows here. So first bits of these, and then I'm going to come and add a little of my ochre. Maybe get a little more of my base tone. So it's getting redder and warmer, but still I'm going to just make sure that I've got this coming here. So I do want this shadow to be here. And right here. This is that sort of mid-range. Let's just show that. And then I'm going to take a little of this out and my light skin tone and a bit of my yellow because she's in the sun. Start pulling up the back of the leg. But if you have a tool you love, right, and somebody uses a different tool, don't feel like you've got to put down your successful tool unless you have an imperative reason, like, oh, you're like, I want to learn a new tool, or, you know, something urgent like that. More yellow, more base tone. Coming down here. So something I want to say about what happens to the foot below the water, and this is going to be one of the places that we do a couple of these sort of detail bits, is we're going to have to show that her foot goes below the water.
And it's tempting the sharks.
And it's which we didn't put in. Because that weird shadow over there that I was like, you know, I don't really like whatever that shadow's about. I'm not into it.
But we know that there's sharks in there.
We know that there's sharks. So here we go. We've got her dancing. We've still got some more value sets and everything. But you can kind of see that we're putting in her basic values, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got to talk about this foot under the water.
The foot under the water.
The foot under the water.
The tempting the shark foot.
How do you paint things that are see-through?
Lightly?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to add some of her skin tone. It's going to be definitely down below the water.
This seems like a trick question because I don't actually know how to answer this.
I'm going to take a little of her master skin tone, right? And I'm going to add even a little of it here. Right? Even weirdly, you're going to see some of it go a couple other places, and I'm going to dash it out here a bit.
Tay loves your painting.
Does she?
This is awesome.
I am
Totally
so glad.
Awesome.
I really like this color. I'm going to add a little of this highlight right here in this shadow space on this leg. And a bit at the ankle. I'll have to switch down to a smaller brush in a second. I'm just trying to get in what I can with my bigger brush because it does a huge amount of work for me real fast. All right, so I've got that basic in. Let's resolve what's happening in the water.
Resolve what's happening in the water.
So the easiest way to resolve it, a little quinacridone and a little ultramarine. Get some white into it. I hear her snarfling.
The dog's playing.
I'm going to thin this with a little glazing medium and water. I'm dragging little shadows using the color I've committed to as my shadow color in my water. Just dashing there. A little more white into it. I think it's a little too dark. Now I'm going to get my white loaded more intensely on. And I'm just going to come along the top and show the highlights of the water that she's disrupted with her step. And there's a little ripple here. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Foot's in the water. So, you know, really put her foot in the water, but her foot's really in the water. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's just one of those crazy things. It's like that wine glass. You're like, no wine glass, no wine glass, no wine glass. Oh my gosh, it's a wine glass.
Katie's really looking forward to trying this painting out.
Oh, you guys are going to love it. I know sometimes I give you ones where you're like, I'm at this for the next month. But that's okay. Sometimes that's good. I'm going to load up this color in my glaze, my base color, which is, you know, a lot redder. You can even add a little more cat red to it. Interestingly enough, I'm going to come along the base of my foot with it. Just a little bit on the base with my foot with that red. Right here I might even have a little bit of it. And I'm going to take, aren't you glad that you pre-mixed? See, survival tips.
Yeah.
Strategies. If I had to be constant, this stuff dries so fast, if I had to be remixing, you know, oil artists, they can just leave this stuff out. Just out. To just do whatever, I don't know, it does. But we don't. We have to have a plan. So I'm warming it with this yellow. I'm going to start talking about the highlight of the leg. Just coming along here. There's a nice one around the ankle. And then there's definitely the bottom of the foot so interesting. It's lighter. Like the foot skin is super light. Seriously, when you're painting people, that weird little space in the foot skin is super light. Just stuff you might not necessarily be thinking about all the time and is true and you wouldn't know is true. It's super true. So you got to have generally like a pink area at the base, and then you have this like super, super light area along the heel. It's okay to get a highlight here, but I'm going to highlight the pinky toe. Just painting the feet. The trick with feet is catch the things that help you know that they're feet. That, you know, that there's this really big highlight. I might even, crazily enough, I'm going to pull a little quinacridone over into my base skin tone. Check that out. How crazy am I? Super crazy. So it's just like blended there a little bit, and there's this weird pink thing. You know, and then I'm going to come get maybe a little of my base skin tone and some of my ochre. And just talk about a smidge of a highlight that might be showing on that toe. Toes can be like kind of a pain. Just saying. They can be kind of a, but I've got my warmth here, and so I'm going to just keep, right? And so I've got this sort of little warm color that I like to do, and I can lighten it with my highlight color. So let's create a little highlight at the ankle here, pulling up, and you're like, that's a lot of attention on feet. Yeah, that's where it's going to go wrong. So that's where we're going to pay attention.
So Diane was asking, how did you learn figure drawing so well? That's a good question.
So you know what? I don't want to say something dorky like practice.
Well, I was there. I remember. That's kind of what it was.
But yeah, no, it wasn't easy. And I did take, you can, life drawing classes where they have the weird naked people come and you draw them real fast. That's very informative. I took figure drawing in school. I would say for me, it was self-study. I did a lot of reading from artists who did figure work that I admired, and then practiced their techniques as much as I could.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the little shadow here, and then see, we're getting a little purple shadow, but it's not flowing off my brush. When stuff stops flowing for me, I just missed it into flowing. Ha! Now you're flowing. You didn't think you were, but now you are. So I'm going to take this purple shadow in the front of the leg that we've been talking about. Well, that's too bright. So Hogarth was an artist. Remember when I was all obsessed with him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was really into his work, and I studied a lot of his techniques and practiced. I had sketchbooks that I worked on a lot. And again, I took, it's not that I didn't take the classes that the school had to offer. I have to say that it wasn't until, I need a little rest moment here anyway, so I'm not going to be too long grandstanding. It wasn't until I read Hogarth's work and some of the stuff that was said by Boris Vallejo and Olivia and Soriyama, and these are like really great graphic, mechanical, skilled craftsmen of figure drawing. And I really kind of went over graphic novels and stuff like that because those guys have to be so on point and look at how they were breaking down figures and then understand the principles of the hip can only do these things. The head can only do these things. Things will generally be within certain proportions. That's how I learned why I age kids up.
Yeah.
When I do portraiture, and so it's really hard for me to resist aging them up because I want to elongate everything, and that makes them older. But it was when I read that and then took a life drawing class that it was like, I see it all. And then it became really fun. Really, really fun. So hopefully you guys are liking how this is very playful and light and dreamlike. And again, because we're avoiding blacks, because we're avoiding deep, deep, deep dark colors, I think we're getting some really rather lovely results. I am just waiting. All right. So that's what was it. I know, I just wandered around talking about stuff like a crazy person. And wipe out, because I like this brush, so I want to paint the rest of it with this brush. So I'm pulling out some more of my yellow because it's just where it is in the sun. I just really like that. And then I will just
I'm going to zoom in on that foot there.
Lighten it with my white. There we go. Okay, so we're going to have this nice little rounding right here. And the other thing is that when you draw, one of the things to avoid, one of the nice things about a life drawing class is they don't let you just draw one kind of person. Probably like just your family members, just your neighbors, just people around you. They generally bring in a variety of models. So you start to get this sense of how much real diversity exists in even like the human figure. So I'm just trying to work the ankle here. Now I know I'm going to get a nice little shadow going. Like there's a nice little kind of corner shadow at this ankle, and still working this coming up the foot. And then I've got to try to get my highlights going. So I'm going to get back into my yellow and red, my highlight color, get something quite warm. And I've got to get into my white. See if I can capture this time. So So pulling up the heel. You can come up the back, along the leg, a little bit. And then this highlight can actually kind of move over to here, can it? Just pulling this up. Bring this around. And thinking about that pinky toe that is curled in there. And I think we're finally starting to get that structure. To just not be immensely like crazed about this, I've got to find its little highlight. So I'm going to take my yellow and my red and get kind of a shadow highlight. Yay, shadow highlights. But what I want is something lighter but still feels like it's in the shadow. And I'm going to tip even lighter than that. Oh my goodness. Let's go. Right into the unbleached, right? We're going to tip in here and just tip just enough of the... So the water reflects back a little bit. There we go. Thank goodness.
You just nailed it there.
Yeah, it just sometimes it just takes a minute to get a little highlight. And I'm going to make sure that the back of this has nice little highlight coming up. And back into kind of this warm color. Let's make sure that we're just a little bit there. Ah, so nice. There we go. We're starting to get these feet and these legs, and these objects are starting to, I think we've just got a foot and then the skirt in here. Hair's easiest. And then everyone just ground at me. So they're like, what are you talking about? So as I'm doing this leg, just some observational things. It is surrounded in shadow on both sides, isn't it?
Let me go look at that. Oh, yeah. That's interesting.
It kind of is. And I'm cooking as fast as I can, guys.
Oh, you're doing great.
Okay.
You're doing just fine. Oh, this is wonderful.
So I'm going to come along the back with this violet shadow. And I, you know, if you guys are really uncomfortable with violet shadows, is it okay to just do traditional shadows? Yes, it is. But this is a good way to start to... I'm just kind of making my shadows more interesting. Because you see things when you're going. This is a good way to start to really grow your skill set. When you're like, oh, it's not just that this is dark and this is light, but that there's so many ways. And traditionally, only like artists that have been really studying and stuff mess with this. Or if you go take a very nice workshop, generally those artists will share this skill. I'm just enjoying my little, because I know I likes it. All right, I'm going to get a little of my blue and my burnt umber mixture, the dark shadow. I'm going to blend here. I still like this sort of wonderful crisp line where the skirt and all that are, so don't want to lose that. So I've got this, my base skin mixture. I'm going to add a little more yellow into it. I'm definitely going to get too much dark color. Go back. It's the shader. Gotta rinse it out. So this is very warm here. The water is reflecting on everything. Right? And see how her skin is just warm and maybe richer and darker than maybe you were thinking. Because, you know, the lighting of the picture and color of her hair. But there's just a lot more color going on inside people than you might know. So I've just done my highlight mixture and more ochre just to warm it up, and I'm going to make sure that I have just a couple of these little highlights in here that are showing. And then I'm going to need John to back it up for me so I can see how I'm doing. Oh, she's so pretty.
I think it looks really good.
This is going to be so stunning. This is going to be, some of you guys are going to be just like, this is my favorite painting I have in my house. So I hope you put it on a good canvas.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. All right. So this, I'm going to work in yellows and purples. I'm going to eke out a little more of my Indian yellow as a treat to myself. If you guys only have the ochre, hang with that. Don't stress. Right? And first, I'm going to start working the skirt. And the skirt's back color is a little of my ultramarine blue. I might quinacridone it in there. A smidge. But I gotta start just getting this in. So the first thing I do is the skirt is like the arms, is like the legs, is like everything else. It's getting those value sets in, getting the paint on the canvas. Super important. I'm not gonna worry about like every single wrinkle and element at this point, but the overall thinking that I've got going on. Right? Put the little shadow here where her little hip. And this is just about, and you can paint with any, you can paint with the cat's tongue, you can paint with any brush that you have. And then let's start getting into our, we gotta start lighting this up, right?
Yeah.
This is a light story, not a dark story. So when I come back with my lighter colors, I'm gonna make sure that, you know, I'm leaving some of my shadow values to talk about what is going on. Now I am inclined to glaze a little bit. If that doesn't work, I'll have to go back and mix values in the greens and see what we got. I'm going to rinse out. I'm going to take a little of my Indian yellow. Got my white here. Start to build this up. Now, when you're looking at this, and I'll probably have to go back and move things and everything because I'm just generalizing right now. You know, and I'll have to be paying attention to every shadow. I'll be putting back shadows and all right, just keep mixing that in. I'll take some of this back this way. So these, believe it or not, are super, like, these are the colors that we're going to build up with. Let's give this little fabric here a little highlight area here. Maybe one here as well. Might come in with a different little bright now that I've got this basis on. This is just about creating this little skirt, this little serape that she's wearing. Okay, I know you guys have been waiting the whole time. I can't help myself anymore. Number 4, cat's tongue. Sorry. It has to happen. These things, they have to happen. So this whole skirt is actually quite light. And what's very interesting to me when painting things that are light is how you can talk about everything that's happening there and still express the lightness of the object. So this is a good way of doing that. What I'm doing is I'm looking for the shapes that I actually have to lighten up my object. Like right here, I have a light shadow right there. And it's like that. And then there's maybe another little one there. And some more of this here. So you can see I'm really in these light colors. And then from this here, I've got a deeper shadow. So I'm going to get my purple in there, blue. Right under this. So let's make sure we're shaping that out. This is my number 4 cat's tongue. It really, again, doesn't matter what you want to do this with. Just want to make sure that I've got that value right there. And then its friend comes down like this. And there's a highlight. And then all the rest is pretty dark. I'm going to get slightly lighter right here. This, like everything else, is going to be like, wait, where did it come from? And that's what we just got to keep working. All right, I'm thinning my paint because we're at the end of our day. And I liked these little delicate edges, so I don't want to lose them. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm putting those back. Got a nice little fold here. This one is going to continue on, so I'm just getting my blue. All right. A little more there. So we're starting to see it, starting to feel it, starting to take some shape. The fabric's starting to fold. When you're painting folded fabrics, you're going to be painting, and I don't know if we can zoom in on this. So the exterior shape is quite simple, right? Where we have stuff happening is in this mid-tone, highlight, shadow, mid-tone, highlight, mid-tone, highlight, deep shadow, kind of mid-shadow, highlight. See how that's kind of going? And then bright highlights. So how do we play with all of those things and express them, you know, and still get what we're trying to have? So now I might treat myself, you can stick with titanium white. I'm going to treat myself to some zinc because I want this to be very romantic. And zinc has this just light fairy quality to it.
Very romantic.
It is. It is. So, and look, it doesn't, like, normally if I add that much titanium white to something, what do I get? A
White?
much lighter color right away.
You get white.
Yeah. So what's lovely about this is it lets me, look at that right there, be very
layery
and delicate and almost see-through, and that can be hard to get other ways. I'm going to wipe this off, and I'm going to get some more zinc. That way, when I come in and I use the titanium, what'll happen is it'll pop really intensely. See, I've just got the zinc here.
Yeah.
There it comes, that just delicate overview of everything. And this I just love. Now, I'm going to rinse that really well. I'm going to do something kind of crazy. I'm going to get a hint, a smidge of this pink. What am I doing? Find out. It's so cool. So where I have the midtones in my shadow structure, look what I'm going to do. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, yeah.
It just keeps it really special. We're trying to just make sure it stays really put a little of that right there. Rinsing that out. Now I'm going to take just a smidge, gosh, just a hair of my Indian yellow, my titanium white. I'm going to find it. How are we doing?
Good. Really
Go
good.
there. Maybe a little bit there. A little light there. Oh, she's starting to look like her. Wipe this off. Back into your zinc. How are we doing? Let me see your fit big. Oh, yep.
Yep.
There
Looking
you
really good.
Go. So we took out the pattern and I gave her kind of a white serape and am letting her just blow in the breeze and catch some sun and, you know, do her. And I love the delicate nature of the zinc. This is fantastic. And guess what's left?
The hair?
Hair. Hair, beautiful
Just
hair.
a little bit of hair.
All right. So I'm not wanting to get a bunch of other colors to do my hair.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to stay here
Okay.
and do it from here. Let's all take a deep breath. Do we all feel pretty wonderful about her?
They think this is stunning. And that is the word that is being used over and over and over again. They really like her.
I like her too.
She turned out really nice.
She is a joy to paint, straight up.
So
she may be long, she may be involved, but girlfriend here is a joy to paint. So
just a little bit more hair to do, and then that's it, huh?
Just that. I'm going to take a little of my ultramarine into my deep shadow color. So it's got almost that kind of cast there, right? And then it's not really necessarily even, burnt sienna in any way. So I'm going to take my yellow oak. There we go. There's my dirty blonde. So I want to get into a dirty blonde.
You had to find it.
I got to find my dirty blonde. Every dirty blonde tells its own story. And I'm going, which I hate dirty blonde because I think it's actually can we just say honey or some other thing? But you can see this is the kind of grayed undertone of the deep value of the hair. I'm still doing the number 4. I'm following very gently. And I'm doing this sort of like, I'm not tracing along her forehead because that would give me such a defined, complete line, right? That I'd put a little bit forward here because she would have that. It's coming back here. There we go. Oh gosh, when the hair starts to go in, it's just, and you start to see her, don't you just freak? I just freak. Now, like I said, I'm going to have to pull. I don't have to. I just emotionally have made a decision about her hair coming forward. So it's not a have to. That's a little controlling. All right. I'm going to mostly keep this darker value to this. And I'm going to see how the brush just naturally wants to go dry?
Yeah.
I'm going to let that happen. It is doing a whole lot of effort for me. I don't have to do later, so. See? Now you can take her hair in front of the waterline. I'm going to take a little of this hair and impact the hip. Maybe a little over on the waist. See how we're doing? And we're going to come along the back. Just a little bit, maybe. There's something I feel like I'm going to want to do, but I'll see when I get there. I'm going to want to pull a little bit forward. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Is that too stagnant?
No.
Okay.
I like that.
I'm going to get in. So right now I feel like that line's real stiff, but I'm going to get in with some loosey bits in a little bit and, get after it. So I'm going to pull out what I got of my blue left and my quinacridone. And make sure that I don't forget some of the shadow story I was telling. Right?
Mm-hmm.
For the darkest part of it. Where it's very deep. Can you guys see it?
Oh, yeah.
That will really help when we come over the top and we're trying to say there was a deep shadow, but we haven't really done a black shadow. That will really help. Now, I need to paint my next value up, and that's really going to be about taking the yellow ochre and making a lighter color here. So I'm brushing and following the flow. You can always take a tendril and move it, but her hair was fairly orderly, so I'm going to respect that somewhat. Hair is definitely about some layering.
It is just naturally layering.
So naturally layer. And this is the second of the dark shadows of that hair and of this hair.
Everyone is giving you lots of hearts and love and thumbs up saying how awesome they think this is. Really, really. And it really is turning out great.
Yeah, she's a pretty girl. pretty. With a lot of hair. All right. Her hairdresser did a long layered cut. Just so you know. So I'm going to take a little of my Indian yellow and a little of my, maybe a little white.
She's got that 80s hair.
Just get a little of, my brown here. Let's just get a little of our brown into this. See that right there? It's warm.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start finding life here. Let's see if we can't pull tresses from the shadows. So hair is like these clump shapes that you create a bunch of weird little textural highlights on, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm hair, and you're like, wait, where? When did that happen?
Right.
And so I'm going to just every once in a while catch some of it with a bit more sunlight. And you might think, that's the other reason why I tend to loosely mix my hair colors, is because this works for me, so that but when I decide to put my big brush down and get my detail brush out, which I am about to do, everything really, really comes together. So first, let's put in our shadows. I'm using my number 2 shader, and if it isn't giving me nice enough lines, I'm going to switch it out for one of my other details. So first I'm going to grab my blue and a little of this white. I'm going to make sure my palette is not so dried out it won't paint. Get my shadow color into it. And just create some it's not just the highlight details that you're going to want. You want all these little detail bits. But you don't want to start out just trying to paint every single hair at this time. So I'm going to say, all right, there's a little shadow here, and I'm going to find it and paint it in. And we didn't use black. So this is what I'm making sure I play with. There we go, a little tendril there. Now I can get a little of my white here. I've got my mix of my burnt sienna and my Indian yellow. I'm lightening it. I just need to make sure that what I have will flow off my brush. So I'm going to add some water on my palette. If I'm always trying to bring it over one drop at a time from my jar, we're gonna all be old before we get out of here. All right, so let's find her. Now, this is a very, I was like, that scared me half to death. This is a very loose painting. So the trick, what I'll say about the hair is you do need some of these details and highlights, but don't get so lost in it. If you over detail here, you can mess yourself up. So you want it, but you have to be like, all right, have an exit strategy. So I've created this. This isn't my lightest highlight in my hair, but it's pretty light. Just pulling these down. Let's bring this here. Let's take the top of this, and there's a little bit right there. There's definitely. Let's take a highlight to the top of this little bit of hair that's come down. This has caught some sun. So we will just keep at this as we need to. Now, I'm going to treat myself. I love how I'm like, I'm going to treat myself to a little fluid paint. And I like to treat myself to fluid paint because it helps me with my line.
Oh, yeah. Which line are you working on now?
I'm going to keep in the hair.
Oh, yeah.
We're all hair and then we're done.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
We got to sign it, too.
Oh, sign it and done. Yeah. So that's where we're at. So I'm going to get these very bright highlights. I'm going to make sure this isn't gloppy. I want it loaded nice so I can get some beautiful work here. Let's put in some fine bits here, right? Oh, that caught the sun.
Oh, yeah.
That little tendril just... Look at those, just coming out. Oh, this is my favorite part. So you guys are going to have to just indulge me.
They like it too.
It's just too much fun, and it's where everything kind of comes together. And if you can keep your cool through here. I have to watch for drag. You may or may not. It's one of my issues. I tend to paint on my canvas. I don't, especially in this new setup, like, because I can't back out my brush. That's what long handles are for, so you can back out your brush.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't back out my brush. New studio, who knows? I might be painting all back of the brush. Then it's on like Donkey Kong, guys. Just... love doing this. So just finding these little bits of detail. These just little bits of light that our sun soaker here has soaked up. And if we like these kind of paintings and you guys show up and they, you guys vote for them, I will keep telling wonderful beachcomber stories because they are super happy and relaxing for me.
Oh, yeah, they really are enjoying this. They really enjoyed the this girl painting in the beach. And this has just been a really great subject matter. And several people were saying how much they appreciated you putting all the effort in for this long lesson that they would, and then they were saying, hey, we would have to pay hundreds of dollars for this elsewhere. So thank you very much for just putting it up here for free.
Thank you. Actually, that's true.
So.
And I imagine people teaching it for hundreds of dollars and not super happy with me right now.
Well, I mean, I think that there's a teacher out there for everyone.
Yeah.
And our community here, we're a talky, happy-go-lucky kind of hang out, be a little silly kind of group. So, that's one way of teaching and learning, and that's how we kind of roll. So, if you're interested in that, then pull up a chair, stay a while.
Okay, now
you're deep in thought. You're like, no, just the hair, just the highlight.
Tipping.
I'm as zoomed in as I can get, man. Oh my gosh. Oh my, you're just like dancing the highlight. That's so nerve-wracking.
I'm not saying you guys have to do this. I do. I have to do this. For sure.
What are you doing that with?
I'm doing that with white and my number 2.
Is there a number 2 round?
Number 2 shader.
Oh, wow.
Because if I do this, then it really helps her. And it's a weird series of little touches that I just feel like.
Well, yeah. That was awesome.
Okay.
You're gonna have to angle her over so we can see her all full screen now.
All right, here she is. Let's all take a minute.
All right, let's take a look at
go.
this.
Woo! I survived it.
Well, I'm gonna.
I gotta clean this up here.
Wow. I mean, just kind of looking there. That's.
Got a little messy right there. My hand got dirty.
You want to tilt her over there so we can take a little peek at her?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that turned out really, really nice.
There she is.
Yeah, so you got to sign her now, too. We can't forget about that, can we?
But that's a flame. This is our girl seeking restoration and healing on her beach.
She's just soaking up some sun.
Yes. There's no social media here, man.
And, hey guys, in all honesty, I highly recommend if you're having a bad day, go outside and do what she's doing. Just stand in the sunlight and pretend to be a tree or a leaf or a flower and just soak in that sunlight.
And if you can't, there's a lot of studies that saying painting something like this psychologically has similar benefits.
Yeah.
The things that you paint and the places that you focus your attention greatly impact the matrix of your well-being. And I am quoting people who are qualified to say that.
Thank you guys for coming and being with us. It is so wonderful to have so many people come and hang out with us and be with us during this. And Cinnamon, they've just said so many kind things and wonderful things about your painting here. It really is amazing. What you've done here with this girl is just beautiful. So
she's a lot of fun.
Incredibly gorgeous, Stephanie says.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie. Sorry, we had a little late getting her up. You'll notice that where I signed her, I kind of did it in colors that didn't,
It's among the surf.
Yeah. And I signed close to her because, I don't know, she's kind of like my inner id right now is this.
This is your inner id.
I'm a 6-foot tall blonde on the beach. I don't know what to tell
you.
you.
I'm with you.
This is where I am. Take as long with this as you want. Tell the story as deeply as you want. Be as loose about it as you want.
Mm-hmm.
But I think focusing on this type of escape is I know right now I can testify that I feel a lot better after the cold and the worries of being sick, and this just really lightened my spirit. And I love spending time with you guys and sharing these kinds of fun things. I'm so glad we got to do this much brighter painting.
Yeah.
Is very exciting to me. And I still went a little dark with her.
Oh, no, it looks so good. It really does.
It's all calibrated.
Thank you guys for coming.
We be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I want to see you at the Easel really soon, which is tomorrow, because we're going to paint another girl on the beach. If you like this, come back tomorrow for more of it, but from behind. If you were like, no face, but you wanted to do this, tomorrow is your day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Bye-bye.